report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
How'd you like today's thumbnail? Courtesy of the brand new ChatGPT 4.0.
Hell yeah.
I said, give me Moses with the holy tablets surrounded by chicks in bikinis. And they said, no, that's heresy. Get the flamer. The heavy flamer.
There you go.
Yup. Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, this is The Irrational Male. The one and only super show where you get the real stuff, the real deal. You get the nuts and bolts. And you're going to get it today, my friends. You are definitely going to get it today. Here we go.
Sometimes I see a guy and I'm like, he's kind of cute. But then I'm like, is he actually hot, or am I just so deprived of what a hot guy is in Vancouver because there's like no testosterone in the city? Like, I feel like I barely see hot guys anymore, so then when I do, I'm like, but is he actually, or am I just feral?
She's not a Christian!
There is no sound to this, by the way. I had to kill it out because of the background music. There you go. Just to give you your tears. See, we can bring women to their tears on The Rational Male. No problem.
Best mate down here. What's your name, man? Who's your best friend?
Wife.
Your wife's your best friend? Oh, you limp fucking dick. I mean, fuck off. The fuck are you talking about? She's not your friend. She's not your friend. You ever nudge her and go and look at the tits on that? No, you fucking haven't. Because she's not your best friend. You've got fucking Stockholm syndrome, mate. He's fallen in love with his captor.
Your license on you?
Oh, man, watch.
Yeah, I'm sure you're confused. I'll explain it to you. You're Christina?
Yes.
Okay, Christina, do me a favor. Can you step out of the car for me? I know you're confused. I'll explain everything to you. You don't have anything on you? You can just grab whatever you need.
Whatever I need.
Yeah, whatever you need. Like your phone, your purse, go ahead and grab it.
Is she going somewhere? Or?
Yeah, we're going to explain everything to you guys. Go ahead and grab it up. We're not going anywhere right now. Of course, yeah.
I don't understand what's going on here.
I get it. You can go grab your things.
Can you come with me?
Yes. You stay there for right now, sir. Just stay there, but yes, you can. Now, come on back here.
Should I shut the car off?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Was off.
Was off.
So right back over here. So we do have an investigation going on. We have to talk to you about it at the police department, okay? So we're going to explain everything to you there. It's not my investigation. I don't know the full details. We do have to bring you there, though, okay? So I do have to put you in handcuffs and bring you to the police department. Just a down
Handcuffs?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
I'm like willing to go with you.
I get it, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to do it that way. So do me a favor, we just take this off.
Can I ask you
Of course, yeah. It's not like I said, it's not my investigation. Obviously, we're here for a reason. So go ahead and turn around for me. So right now you're being detained, and there is a detective that needs to talk to you at the police department. So we'll let your husband know. No, he can just come to the police department as well if he wants to wait for you there.
I'm like...
I get it. You have a lot of questions.
So scared.
Yeah, everything's okay. We just need to talk to you at the police department. That's all. Nothing else on your pocket right now? Anything else?
Just my phone.
Just your phone? Okay. Okay. We're going to sit in the back of this car on the other side.
Ooh, you can smell the
If you think
fear
it's
on her.
fine, you'll talk to the detective and he'll explain everything to you.
But you can't even give me like an idea
At the moment,
what this is about.
other than that it's an investigation, that's all I can really tell you right now. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more.
She knows what it is. Yep. She knows. Yep. Ooh, boy. All right, here we go.
You really need to get over this bullshit notion of masculinity is not showing your emotions.
This motherfucker again.
It is so important. It's just so rewarding. From the age of 29 to 44, I didn't cry. I didn't cry when I got divorced. I didn't cry when my mother died.
Okay, remember, it's just so rewarding.
I just literally forgot how. I don't know if it was because some weird sense of masculine men don't cry. I don't know what it is, but I literally just forgot how to cry. And then I started crying again at 44. I learned how. And what I would say is it's one of the nicest things that's happened to me in the last 15 years. If something moves you, try and lean into it and learn how to cry. It's not like cathartic, but it informs what's important to you. Also, try to figure out a way to laugh out loud a lot.
You know what's funny is like when guys like this start like mouthing off about like, oh, show your emotions, cry on demand. All this other shit. It's like, dude, so being more like a chick is like more masculine. Like, you know, what's funny is I've said this 100,000 times. Like the only time we celebrate masculinity is when it looks like femininity. And this guy is like the shining. I can't even think of like he's a textbook example of exactly that.
You become smarter. You become better at what you do. Why am I so moved by this content? Understand it. Why do you think it's so powerful? Why is it moving you this way?
Yeah, why is it moving you this? I don't know. I just can't cry at Titanic, but I did in Saving Private Ryan. I just don't understand.
And then learn from it. Why are you upset about this? Okay, this is what's important to you. This is what offends you. As I was through 29 through 44, I was just kind of sleepwalking through life. I didn't really feel anything.
All right, remember what I said, how rewarding it is? Here's how rewarding it is.
Hey, what are you doing? I came out to check on you.
Huh?
What are you doing? Thought you were working.
I'm looking at this.
What is it?
It's wire. It's a spool of wire. And I'm almost out of it. Can you see the spool of wire?
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost out of it.
Okay.
And I've had this spool of wire for like 40 years. I bought it like this it's not a piece of a long time ago, but it's like 40 years of my life. It's in the wire that's gone. Does that make sense? This is what's left. Does that make
I'm
sense?
sorry to hear that, and it's sad for you, but you're wearing your Jets hat, and I'm a little concerned right now that you're wearing your Jets hat. I thought that's why you were crying.
Okay, I'm done.
My guy just says one of the most poetic, insightful things he's probably ever said to anyone in his life. And she didn't hear a single word of it. Now, yes, men are...
This would be so much more impactful if you took that like whiny ass music out of the background.
Yeah. Are very simple creatures. There's also a depth to most men that will never be explored by a lot of their ladies. And it's really hard for me to understand why. Like, why is it when a man takes an opportunity to be vulnerable with you and share his genuine thoughts, feelings, and emotions about something profound that he really cares about?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly why. Because it's called solipsism, my friends. Female solipsism.
Why couldn't she just take that moment to actually listen for a change and build a deeper connection with her man? All the ladies out there talk about how they want...
Why? Because she has no insight. Remember how many times I've told you about insight?
You to talk to them and be open with them and communicate more with them. But what they're missing is that every time he's tried to do that, you have taught him why he shouldn't. If he is punished for being open and honest with you, you're teaching him to never be open and vulnerable and honest with you. So for any of the ladies watching this, please keep that in mind and take a second to really think next time you're presented with the opportunity to encourage him to be honest with you.
Sure. A lot of guys get really frustrated with women today is because, and I've said this 100 different times, is that women marry a lifestyle. They don't marry the guy. And so like when I was talking, when Abigail was still over here and I was making the comparison between sort of like the business side of things versus the emotional love side of things, I think a lot of guys think that it should be about the love side, and that it shouldn't matter whether or not he's got a lot of money. It shouldn't matter whether how successful he is. Maybe she's marrying into the potential. Maybe they believe in this sort of like idealism or this idealistic concept of love, and that's the only thing that ought to matter. Meanwhile, men pretend to be these really sort of rational, reasonable guys, but when it comes to love, they're thinking that love should matter for the sake of love, right? So when a guy is getting married, or a guy is thinking about things in the long term, like I would never cheat on you, I love you, I want to go forward in life with you. Well, that's great for him. Meanwhile, you still have to have a lifestyle. You still have to have something else that's going on for you. You still have a burden of performance. You still have to be able to provisioning, protection, and parental investment. And you better have the means and the resources to be able to do that. So you've got women who are saying it's all about romance, it's lovey-dovey, this and that and everything. And then in the next sentence, it's like, well, but if he doesn't have enough money, then we don't have to get married on paper. We're just going to be in sort of this, I don't know, some hippie ass, love state, instead of the fact that women are marrying the lifestyle. If you cannot provide that lifestyle, then you are not going to get married. So it's this, I think guys overemphasize this idea, because there's guys in the chat right now, and there's going to be guys in the comments right now. What about love? How come it's not like this? How come it's not about what women say? It's about idealism. Women say it's about love. Women say it's about emotional commitment. It's going to therapy and all this other bullshit. Meanwhile, it's he's got to have X amount. I want to see his 401k. All right, last one.
Majors. Business, biology, elementary education. What shape is the U.S. Pentagon building?
Isn't it just a square?
Who won the Civil War?
What's the Civil War? So it's the civilians versus whoever was in power.
How many justices are on the Supreme Court?
Justices? So like when you say that, like you mean like the FBI?
Name 3 states that border Canada.
I didn't know Canada had a border.
Parents are demanding more, and they deserve more.
Yeah, go kill yourself. Put it back in. There we go. Sorry, my bad. Oh, now I'm slow. Did I slow up? No, I'm good. Okay, I got to catch up here. There we go. You like that? All right. What the hell? Okay, we'll get to. Don't worry, I'm going to get to your super chats. Everything else. I actually posted this up yesterday because I was trying to get ready I was going to go play paintball with Dan Bilzerian and Mike today, but I just couldn't finish this. I was doing so much show prep today. I got my notes, got so much shit to do. So I couldn't really, I was going to do it. I would think, man, can I really race over there fast enough? And then I'm like, I'll be full of welts and I'll be in like my camo and I'll have like nothing but like shots all over me. I'm like, that would be a hell of a way to do a show, is like after a game of paintball. And so I'm like, oh, I could bring some clothes. And I was like, oh my God. And then this morning, it didn't really look like it was all that good of weather anyways. But Dan Bilzerian has his own paintball course on his let's see, compound. the Bilzerian compound, which by the way is not for sale anymore. People thought it was for sale. It's not. He's actually squared things away. I'm glad too, because he's got a really badass house. Anyways, I was gonna go do that. If these guys would just freaking, if you'd have it on a Saturday, I could do it. I swear to God, I would do it. Yes. Oh, I do? Yes. Yep, you're right. My military fatigues are on top of my head right now. Thanks. I'm glad that's important to you. Important enough. You sure you don't want to make that a super chat? You can make that a super chat if you want. I'll read it out. I'll if you make it in all caps, I'll go, okay, he's wearing his underpants. What is that? Okay. Thanks for your sacrifice. My sacrifice. Yes, sacrifice for not going and doing it. Oh, did you put it on?
There you go.
He's wearing his underpants on his head.
Sounds like what one of the Maulers from Invincible.
Yeah, right.
That's the Mauler voice from now on. Those are the Maulers. I was trying to catch up with Invincible. I have it's the whole season's out too. And I'm like, how did this slip past me? And so I was watching, because I love Invincible. That's like one of my favorite shows there is. I like the comic book, the graphic novel.
Yes.
I really enjoy I'm enjoying the graphic novels. The fact that they brought Battle Beast into it, I was like, right. Holy shit, this is fucking great. Have you seen it? Have you seen the last season?
No,
oh my God. Season, yeah. The Maulers got killed by the kid, by Oliver. Oh my God. Sorry, spoiler alert. But yeah, that was freaking great. There's, it's funny. Every now and then they drop a little gem in that show.
Yeah.
Like was it Cecil was saying, you can be the good guy, or you can save the world, but you can't do both. I was like, fuck, that's fucking profound. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I totally understand that. I completely get it. Yeah, Battle Beast is awesome. Yeah, it was pretty good. If you don't watch Invincible, why don't Invincible? If you don't watch Invincible, why don't you watch Invincible? It's so good. And it's like violent as hell too. You'll get used to it. It's cartoon violence. So like after you get past the first the mass murders, the first episode, then you're probably like desensitized to. But the stories are really good and the overall plot's pretty good too. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I was just thinking, like you can be the good guy or you can save the world, but you can't do both. And I'm like, fuck, dude, that's been the story of my life since I started doing this shit. Sometimes I do this stuff, and I mean, I don't like bringing shit like this up because it's always sounds like there's no way you can't not sound like you're complaining whenever you get insightful about something, and it seems like, oh yeah, poor Rolo, he's got an Audi R8 or something like I don't have an Audi R8, but now when I start talking about some things are just like what's worth doing. Dude, masculine. Dude, how dare you use masculine geek for your fucking thing? Ban this guy. Yeah. Ban that motherfucker right now. Wait, where'd he go? Here. Lisa Sparks, dude. Like I would fuck Lisa Sparks, dude. Is she a porn star? Isn't she a porn star? She's a porn star.
I think so, yeah.
Lisa Sparks, yeah. What about I mean, come on, give me somebody better than that, right? I mean, can I have like Sarah Jesse? I know Sarah. Can I have? Let's see. Who can I have? What porn stars could I get with? Well, there's Jessica Aaron. I know her. Then there's Hailey. What's her face? She's on the show. Who else do we know? Like, pick somebody from the show at the very least. Pick one of the porn stars from the show. Not Lisa Sparks. Lisa Sparks like uber MILF. Did you know that we had what's her name? Alexis Fox has been on the show a couple times. Really? Yeah.
Sure.
Probably the oldest woman we've ever had on the show. But speaking of that show, my birthday is I got to make announcements now. My birthday is coming up on April 2nd. That'll be on a Wednesday. We'll be doing, God, I have to do show prep on my birthday. How fucked up it, like I give and I give and I give and you just take and you take and you take. And then I also have to spend. Well, I got to split it with Mike, but then I got to like pay Travis on my birthday to do our show. Thanks, but it's fine. It's all right. Lisa Sparks, Lisa Sparks. Go look her up. She's actually maybe don't go look her up. Well, you can go look her up. You're single. Electra Barbie is not a porn star. She doesn't do commercial porn. She does Sex Panther. I guess maybe does that make you a porn star if you have OnlyFans or you're on Sex Panther?
I don't think so.
Not
porn star.
It makes you something else. You sex worker maybe, but I don't know if it makes you a porn star. When I think of porn star, I think like commercial porn, like Brazzers, right? Or Blacked or whatever else. I don't even know what else there is. Well, so when I think of those, like I'm thinking commercial porn. So if I say commercial porn star, that's what I mean. So, and then I guess Lisa Sparks would be a commercial porn star. Gosh, who else? Kendra Lust. We've had Kendra Lust on the show. Lust. Yeah. Come on. If you're going to give me a MILF, at least give me Kendra Lust. Come on now. Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, let me just jump through these real quick. Just get them out of the way. Since somebody actually put this one up last night. I recently got booted from a tabletop gaming store for conflicting with their hag and troon culture. Troon. I think you spelled that wrong, but that's okay. Where do you play Warhammer? Where do I play Warhammer? Right in my house. I'm trying to get Kyle to come and like pick up some Ultramarines from me. Would you count gaming stores among ruined male spaces? Yes, I would. Tragically, I don't know. I guess it kind of depends. I don't really look at it that way because. Let's see. I mean, I've been playing Warhammer since 1989, 1990, like when it was like in Rogue Trader, like when it was first edition, I've been playing. But like a good non-franchise game store is like holy ground for me. It's like walking into a church. And I'm happy to say we got a really good place here. We got the one that I'm going to just shout them out anyways. Little Shop of Magic is the one that I go to here. It's in South Summerlin, it's big too. It's got everything. They got Warhammer, they got BattleTech, they got all that Star Wars stuff. They got there's a million card flippers. There's all kinds of board games. It's everything you can imagine. I love Little Shop of Magic. I try to get there at least twice a month, but I know that there's some other places here in do you want me to tell you in Vegas? The Frontline Gaming is in Vegas. And then I also know the War Room is in Vegas too. And if you want to play like tabletop games, that's where you want to go. But like I have my own game room in my house. So like I don't have to drive all the way clear out there, but I would definitely drive to Little Shop of Magic. Do I think that it's ruined male space? I don't think that it was ever unruined. It's always been ruined, I think, for to some extent. The only thing I hated was when the woke agenda started filtering into sort of my geekdoms, my nerddoms, whatever you want to call it. I realized chicks really love cosplay, but it's more because they want to show their asses off and show their titties off, and I'm fine with that. Please continue to keep going. I don't care. Sailor Moon, whatever, Asuko, whatever the fuck it is. Please go ahead. I'm glad you're into that stuff. I quite enjoy it. Watching it from afar. But the thing is the thing that gets me is I have never been at a game store where like girls weren't welcome to play. They, if anything, guys bend over backwards, just, because they're a girl's in here, right? And it's not like they're going. I think a lot of like wokesy women think that black shirts, like that's what we call it, black, like guys who are like old school gamers, we wear black shirts, mostly black shirts when we're playing 40K or whatever it is that we're playing. But I think that they think that like this old school guys are just going to like want to let's go kick the girls out. What are the girls doing in our treehouse? That's not what happens. If anything, they're over accommodating. Yeah. So I don't see it as like sort of being a ruined male space because I don't really think it was a male space. I think we're just a little bit more hyper aware of it right now. And the only problem I have is when women, I never heard guys say this, but when women say, "Oh, I went to the game store and they didn't like it when I was there," and or else they kept looking at my chest. Well, then cover it up. Like we're here to play games, and we're here for our shared love of games. And I would say the same thing about like going to see a concert, like going to see a band that you really like. It's like I don't have a problem with guys or girls if they want to go see Ghost or some shit like that. Everybody's there because they have a shared love of the music, and everybody's at the game store because they have a shared love of the game. So as long as it's authentic and you should, some of the best like miniatures painters I know are women, man. They're fucking awesome. So I don't think so. I don't think it was ever like really like that. Like I said, the only thing I have a problem with is when like I see this more for role-playing games than I do for like tabletop board games. But
I already got him.
But maybe I'm just too old. He's old. About that article you reposted on X, that's why I don't want to hear people bitching about Andrew Tate's influence. About which one? I posted a lot of stories on X recently. Oh, you mean last week's show when we're talking about Adolescence? I'm going to talk a little bit. I kind of want to catch people up on Adolescence, so I will get into that a little bit today. But yeah, it's not Andrew Tate's influence at all. It's people wanting to create a fictional narrative so that they can start initiating policy, which is exactly and what I said last week. I said that's what's going to happen. They're going to start making laws and rules and shit as a result of this. And sure, and that didn't even take a week. They already have like legislature up on the parliament floor. I hope I'm saying that right. To teach classes to middle school kids in the UK to combat toxic masculinity as a result of Adolescence, which is a fictional narrative and, by the way, not plausible. Yeah, I hope guys like Alex Costello are proud of themselves because this is what you whether you intended to or not, these are the fruits of your labors. And I'm sure all the kids in the UK school system right now are going to be better off for it, right? Sure. All right. What else we got here? Magos Rolo, a question. Okay, jeez. Okay. What? Well, should we just do a 40K show? Guitars and 40K. Okay. Why do Western wives celebrate husbands' vasectomy in such a weird, humiliating way? Snip, snip, hooray. Oh, you must have read that. You must have read that article. Seems extremely popular. P.S. Tau or Eldar? Oh, gosh, Eldar, are you kidding? I played Eldar is my first army I ever played, and it's still my favorite, and especially with the new codex now. Oh yeah, win button. I need to get some sound drops from like Space Marine 2.
Right.
I bet I could. I bet I could find some. Snip, snip. Well, okay. So, do you want the short version of this? I think one of the reasons why women celebrate or want to celebrate a humiliation of their husbands or their boyfriends or whatever it is when they get a vasectomy, they give them like all these little peanut butter cups and candies and greeting cards and cakes with candle, like it's some sort of like celebration thing. I think one of the reasons, well, first of all, it's a humiliation ritual because you are essentially, she's the one who talked you into basically sterilizing yourself. So what that means is your sperm will no longer impregnate anybody else. And she's happy that it won't. That's what it should say. Now, before everybody loses their shit and go, oh, Rolla, aren't you the guy that said the guys when they're 20 should get a vasectomy? No, that was a fucking joke, asshat. And I'll tell you what's funny is like maybe you should go take that up with Fresh first before you come after me, because
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.
Yeah, had Fresh listened to my advice, that wasn't advice. I think people really need to understand that the reason why I wrote that tweet in the first place, which is now 2 years old. I'm just realizing this right now. The reason why the infamous vasectomy tweet, and by the way, there's so many other things that were part of that tweet. It was like a list of 7 articles, right? One of them was, don't focus on family, don't focus on marriage, like, abandon everything about marriage, like don't get married, don't focus on family, get a vasectomy in your 20s. And by the way, the only reason I threw that in there was because of exactly what Fresh had to go through. It's a protection thing. I'm not saying, oh yeah, you better. Rollo's advising all these guys. The red pill advises guys to sterilize themselves, and then of course from there we go on this slippery slope down to the red pill is telling everybody that it's okay for 4-year-old kids to go and get a sex change operation. That's mutilation. Like it's just I can't even believe how absurd it got in such a short time. But I digress. No, the reason I threw that in there, and then of course there's also resist the urge to ease up on your focus. Be on your mission, hit the gym X amount of times. And there were like at least 6 other items on that list besides vasectomy, but that's it. Everybody latched onto, including the guys at the Daily Wire who have now filed for bankruptcy protection.
Yeah.
Wait, give me the maulers.
Go.
Bankruptcy protection. Rolla was right again.
God, I love the maulers. The maulers are the best part of that show. Now they're dead. Well, they're going to clone themselves again. There's probably other clones. Man, they brought back the multiple girl. Well, I always keep a copy. Come on. You guys are toying with my soul. I go, oh, she's dead. They actually killed a character. No, they didn't. No one is permanently dead in superhero world. I thought Rex was dead too. In that one. That would have been interesting. They can't kill Rex. Rex is the Andrew Tate of that show. Oh God, that was great. No, it's but the reason why women celebrate that stuff is because they don't want to have anything to do with your sperm. They don't want the sisterhood to have anything to do with your sperm either. And so therefore, anytime a guy decides that he's going to get the snip, it's a celebration, not just for her, but all womankind, because your nasty sperm will no longer, she doesn't want you or your nasty genetics, your fucked up, shitty genetics. So if she's celebrating it, or if there's some sort of like joke that goes along with it, just understand it's not good natured. She means every fucking word. Recently ended a 3-year long-term relationship because she wasn't giving me her sexual best. Do we know that? I'm experiencing feelings of guilt. Why is this? Blue pill conditioning? Probably because she was your sure thing. That's why. Because there's a concept called the sure thing. One of the reasons why like guys go back to an ex, or women in that case go back to an ex, is because they know they're going to get. There's no uncertainty about getting laid. They're going back to the same watering hole where the water always shows up. Right. So when a girl goes back to her ex, it's because she's sort of exhausted all of her other options without the ex. And so she goes back to that guy. Same thing with guys. What I'm curious is how do you know that she wasn't giving you her sexual best? Did you like come across a videotape? Did you come across a secret OnlyFans? What is it? I would love to know what that was all about. This is for Ned's College Fund. Thank you very much. Ned appreciates you. And Ned actually goes in for x-rays tomorrow. Have you considered a daily red pill reader like the Daily Stoic? If I had the time to do that and write a book too, or the Daily Laws by Robert Greene, a daily dose of your insights will be a game changer. Yeah, I could probably do that. See, the thing is those are done, and I know what you're talking, especially the Robert Greene stuff. Those are done by his PR team. And a lot of these guys that you think are writing their own tweets are not writing their own. I'll tell you, and God bless him. I love Justin Waller like a brother, but he's not writing his own tweets. And also, by the way, Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson has been running his Twitter account for well over 3 or 4 years now. So anytime he types something out that sounds like it's out of character, it's because it's Michaela. Remember when he came out after like Nick Fuentes? That wasn't him. That was Michaela Peterson, and she's like using this vernacular that would never come out of the mouth of Jordan Peterson. And people are like, "Wow, he's really unhinged." No, Michaela is unhinged. Okay, just keep that in mind. I would love to do that. It's just I'm a one-man show and have been for quite some time. I do have a team that helps me with Reignite, but that's only because I have my good partner Joe Marin, who's been on the show a few times, as you know. That's his team. So I don't have like a real, I'm me. That's it. What you see is what well, I shouldn't say that. Kyle, I appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah.
Kyle's my team. Kyle's the only one I trust. He's the only one he's only my team. That's okay. Us against the world. Will the red pill becoming mainstream destroy society? No, but it's going to remind them of uncomfortable truths is what it's going to do. Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Well, this is the afflict the comfortable part right here. One of the things you're never going to see, and as I was saying before, I'm glad you brought this up. Actually, this is pretty poignant. There's your vocabulary word for today. The reason why this is kind of timely is because, as I was saying before, when I was watching Invincible, you can save the world. You can be the guy who saves the world, or you can be the good guy, but you can't do both at the same time, right? This is what I mean. Is if I tell the truth, I'm at a point right now where if I'm as you guys know, my mission, the only mission statement I've ever had is I have an obligation to objective truth. And sometimes that gets me into a lot of trouble. And let me stop bullshitting. It always gets me into a lot of trouble. So, but there's I'm always conflicted because there's one of the 48 laws of power. I think it's number 2 or 3, which is always say less than is necessary. And I struggle with that law quite a bit, as you know. And primarily, of course, the main reason for that is like, so you're not giving away your plans, right? You want to keep your strategy to yourself, keep your cards against your chest, right? But especially like, I think maybe I have too much of I've got a high expectation of people in general. And I have been to the point where it's like, you guys already know this. My books have never been about advice. They've never been about this is what you should do. I think a lot of people think that the moment that you go and become an influencer, the moment you pass like 20,000 like followers on Instagram or whatever on Twitter, I don't know maybe it's 20,000 on Twitter. The moment you pass a certain amount of followers on any social media platform, you're an influencer. And that's when people like you'll get emails from people going, "Hey, us and our company that has no bearing or relationship to anything you've ever said on your site, we really think you're a great fit for our company. And we want you to be the spokesperson, or we want you to read something. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? Well, we're Mary Kay Cosmetics, and we would like you to, like, have you ever seen my show? No, because you're talking to a bot, right? You're talking to a marketing team, talking to funnel speech. And I'm not one to suffer funnel speech for too long. I mean, I use it myself in my own stuff? Yeah, but that's because the team that I work with seem to think that it's the only way to do things. And it's kind of difficult for me because I'm an author and I talk to you guys every Sunday at the very least. And you know what I sound like, and you know what words I use, and you know what my position is on a lot of things. And I'm not the guy that's going to give you 12 rules for life. I'm not going to give you a step-by-step guide how to live a better life, right? But then I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, well, okay, so let me explain to you why I think that. The reason I think that is because I give my readers and I give my followers and I give my viewers, whoever, if you're watching me, if you follow me in any capacity, I give you the benefit of the doubt when it comes to your intellect and your IQ, okay? I don't write down to people. People keep saying, oh, Rollo, you need to like use less big words because it sounds like you're trying to make yourself sound smarter than you actually are. I am smart, motherfucker. I am fucking smart. Would you like, I don't know what my IQ is, but I know that it is whatever is the gifted level is. I don't know what that makes me. You know, I don't want to insult my readers or my followers' intelligence. So I'm not going to sit here and go, this is one size fits all. The red pill, one size fits all. Everybody should do these things, right? That's when I get people saying the red pill is an ideology. The red pill is a belief set. The red pill is a movement. The red pill is a philosophy. The red pill is a advice. I was just in, was it The Guardian? Myself and Myron were mentioned by name in a Guardian article about adolescence, of course. And one of the things they in fact, I think I have the quote. I'll just read the quote to you. One of the things they quoted was, this is how they describe me, by the way. Let me see if I put this up. I'll just read it to you. Where did it go? Oh, of course, they're talking about Richard Reeves and all that other good stuff. Let me see if I can find the rest of this here. Oh, here we go. By addressing male distress and insecurity, however, they share space with pickup artists. They're trying to like say that there's actually good guys in the manosphere too. We're the bad guys, right? Remember, you can be the good guy or you can be the guy who saves the world, but you can't be both. Well, this is me being the bad guy, according to The Guardian, right? They share space with the pickup artists, the PUAs, misogynistic dating coaches, in parentheses, and red pill influencers of all kinds, such as Myron Gaines, co-host of the dating podcast, Fresh and Fit. Is it about dating? I don't think it's about dating. It's definitely about intersexual dynamics. I guess dating sort of
it's a byproduct.
Fits in there, yeah. Who regularly calls women hoes and promises to help men transform from simps to pimps. Pimps, all in all caps too. Yeah, pimps to all caps. Or Rollo Tomasi, founder. I'm the founder. It's like Lumen. I'm like, here, I founded this company. Or Rollo Tomasi, founder of the life and relationship advice website. Guys, we are now an advice and relationship life and relationship advice website. The Rational Male, who argues that men coddle and cater to the feminine. They do. they actually like when they say who argues is linked to a maybe I'll just read it to you. Argue, the word argue is linked to a past essay of mine on the Rational Male, and it's called Fempowerment. I should like that's not the win you guys were looking for. Trust me, with that link. Sam, can you get that for me? Go grab the link to Fempowerment off of my blog. And I will tell you just how much of a L that is for these people. But like, that's the thing is like, everybody wants to, like, they want to categorize you and they want to put you into a category to easily dismiss you. They want you to fit into a predictive framework. So if you're listening to Myron, then Don't listen to him because he calls girls hoes. Like any other rapper for the last 20 plus years, right? Don't listen to Rolo because he's Keir. He's the founder of the Rational Male, like dating advice thing. I was like, I have never, in fact, if anything, like clearly they've never read anything I've ever done, because like I specifically, I just said a minute ago, I have specifically over the years said, look, this is not about me. I don't want clones. I don't want a cult. I don't want people to go, I'm a Tomasi man. But please don't do that. I want you to be your own dude, and I want to give you the tools so that you can paint the best picture of yourself that you possibly can. I just have described this in like at least 2 of my books, right? Like I'm equipping you. I'm educated. It should be the education and equipping founder of the Rational Male, educating and equipping men for modern dating. That's basically what it should be, or a understanding intersexual dynamics. Is a praxology, but that's too big a word for the Guardian. They have to write to an 8th grade level, which, by the way, I will never do because I'm not going to insult the intelligence of my audience. And I think you guys are smart enough to be able to figure shit out for yourself. You just don't have the tools. You just don't have the information. You don't have the education. I can teach you how to weld, right? If I'm a welding, and you want to go learn a trade, right? I can teach you how to weld. I can teach you to use a TIG weld and do all the bonds and everything like that. I can teach you to do that, but I can't teach you what to weld. Do you want to use it for industrial purposes? Do you want to use it for art? Do you want to use it for whatever? It's a skill. It's something that you don't know how to do that you learn, and then now you can actually do something with it. You can create something with a welding skill or whatever it is. Which, by the way, I would love to learn myself. But that's really what it's about. I don't give you like people say, well, what about the 9 iron rules, Rolo? That's like the 48 laws of power. Like each one of those is not a step-by-step thing. Well, I'm on iron rule number 1, Rolo, but I finished that and now I'm struggling with number 4. And I'm trying to get number 9 because I want the iron rules of Tomasi 9 rules diploma. There's no fucking diploma. There's no certificate program. They're just one after the other. One doesn't even have to come after the other. I just put them. I knew from the beginning, the moment you start putting numbers on things, that's when people start losing the narrative. Same thing with 12 rules for life. They look at like 12 rules for life. And Peterson, by the way, Peterson wrote that right after he got big and the book went huge. And then he tried to repeat that with 12 more. And that book flopped like shit, right? Because he wasn't the same dude when he published that one. It was a hit when he was a hit, and now it's not. But the thing is the reason why people are attracted to it is because it was like a 12-step program. I have to go through this phase. I'm a white belt and I want to get to be a black belt. Well, how many belts are there? 12. Okay. Well, I've gone through all of them, and once I get to the 12th one, then I'll be a black belt. Nah, sorry, sucker. Now you got to get to the 12 more rules for life, right? Because people like that know that average intellects want a program. They want to say, okay, if I do these things, I'll be successful. If I go through these 7 steps and the 4th one will surprise me, then I'll be able to date supermodels. Oh, I can't date supermodels? You're a charlatan. No, it's not. They're not selling you that. In fact, to my knowledge, nobody is selling you that. Yeah, take my program, go through it, go through all 10 steps, and by 10th step, you'll be able to bang, hotties from Omnia in Las Vegas. Zook. No one is selling that. But that's the way, of course, that's the straw man that everybody wants to mischaracterize a red pill with, right? And I'm not going to do that. I'm trying, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the 6th book that I'm working on right now, which, by the way, I'm about halfway through it, I'm making it far more practical. I am interrelating certain concepts. Like if you read The Rational Male or even Preventive Medicine and some of my other books, it seems like each one is sort of compartmentalized. It's taken in different, like they're staggered, right? Like if you look at the Alpha Widow, it's only over here. If you look at War Brides, it's here. If you look at Burden of Performance, it's over here. And Frame is over here, right? Or Hypergamy is over here, right? They're all connected. So if I'm talking about frame is intimately connected with your burden of performance, because frame is essentially the world that you create for yourself that women want to enter, do or do not want to enter into, per your burden of performance. Okay, what does that also relate to? Respect. Men's version of respect or women's version of respect? Merit-based respect or communist-based respect, right? Social, communitarian respect. No, hierarchy, right? So now we've covered frame, we've covered burden of performance, and now what makes you respectable? Your burden of performance. What makes you desirable? A world into which a woman wants to enter. How is that established? Burden of performance. Well, how does respect fall into that? Well, that part of your world that woman wants to enter into, part of your frame, is your respectability. See how that works? It's all synergistic. That's real. So I'm trying to, and I hate the word synergy, but I'm trying to make it more like holistic, right? I'm trying to make people aware that it's not just one little compartment that is set aside or set apart from everything else. Everything is interconnected amongst all these topics that I've been going into for the better part of 20 plus years now. So that's really, for the sixth book, Reignite, the sixth book it's essentially a book how to like unfuck your life, but it's also how to do so using the equipment, using the education of understanding all these separate but not separate topics that are all interrelated with one another. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more utilitarian. I'm trying to make it more something. It's much. I'm writing it in such a way that it's easy to digest. Some of the chapters can get long, but they're not a slog. So that's really my point in doing that. But the problem is like I'm still in the back of my mind. I'm still thinking I don't want people to think that I am trying to tell you what to do. I want you guys to figure out what you need to do for yourself, because everybody's challenges and everybody's lives is different, right? So one guy's problems might be different than your problems, and you need to focus on one area. He needs to focus on another area. Maybe you're past your sedation, got out of whatever was sedating you, and the other guy over here hasn't. So you have two separate challenges that you need to sort of address. And that's why I keep saying there's no 12-step program. There's no advice. There's no, it's not a philosophy. It's not a movement. It's only a movement in a practice. It's not a movement as in it's a praxeology. And that's what I aim to focus on. So, Rollo, is it true that the Daily Wire got funding from USAID just like Tenet Media in Russia? I have heard that. I don't know for sure. Tenet Media got money from Russia, so USAID would be coming from the United States. So I think that's interesting. It's an interesting question, because if you look, and I don't know if it probably didn't, but I don't see how it could go through now. But Tim Pool was supposed to be selling out Timcast to Daily Wire. Now Daily Wire has filed for bankruptcy protection. And Jeremy Boring has decided that he's going to take a back seat and leave. I was listening to I forget the guy who did the interview, but I was listening to the interview of Brett Cooper explaining why she left. And man, she is like an eel in the weeds, man. She's just trying, they ask specific questions. Was it Jeremy Boring? She's just like trying to get in and out. And I don't know. It wasn't, and it kind of is, and it's kind of not. And just like, Jesus, man, like nail her down to something. But she's out, and I thought it was funny because like her whole, and God bless her, maybe this is like true, I don't know, but like I have to kind of like take this with a grain of salt. But like when she's talking about like how, it wasn't the money wasn't that big a deal to me, blah blah blah. I'm like, you're taking home $500,000 a month. They're like, bullshit, it's not the fucking money, okay? That was a main concern. I don't know how much she's making, honestly. Maybe it could be $500,000, but it's certainly not $50,000 a month. So she's making quite a bit of cash. And so to make that move and to quit, because she said basically that she quit. And I can only imagine it's because she saw the ship was sinking. And I think probably the first shot across the bow was Candace Owens leaving and doing her own thing. Brett Cooper is she's up to 1 million subs inside a week. After she left the Daily Wire. So clearly it's not Daily Wire is the key to her success. Brett Cooper is the key to her success. And as I said, hey, more power to her. God bless her. I don't agree with her on a lot of things, but like as far as like making that decision, I understand how scary that shit is because I've had to do it myself. And that was it's kind of something I wanted to talk about too today is if you have noticed, and I don't know why you would, but if you look at my sub count, it hasn't budged in 18 months, almost a year and a half, a little over a year and a half now, courtesy of the DHS and Diverting Hate NGO and the McCain Institute. And I'm fairly convinced, I do not have 100% confirmation of this, but I'm fairly convinced that the reason why some people cannot super chat on my channel right now is because they've already given a certain amount of money and you're no longer allowed to give me any more money. And I think the reason for that is because this NGO has worked the algorithm with YouTube. Now, I do not know this 100%. I'm just speculating. I'm spitballing here. But I think one of the reasons why my subs have flatlined, and by the way, I never, like sometimes I'll lose some and sometimes I'll gain some, but it always stays 224,000. It never variates between those two. And my ad revenue is just basically on life support right now. And the only way I make any kind of money off of this is through super chats. And apparently you're not allowed to super chat more than $20 or $50 or whatever it is, depending on how much your total donations have come to me. So I don't know 100%, but I do know this is that the psychological effect of that is quit, Rolo, quit now. Stop doing this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to go into all this fucking trouble to do show prep for the Rational Male. It's not worth it to go and do all this show prep for Access Vegas or to do anything with Mike Sartain on the side when we want to do interviews and stuff like that, because you will not make any progress. You cannot. You're tar pitted. You're in the quicksand right now. And I feel like that. And honestly, I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm just running in quicksand at this point. But that's what they want me to do. They want me to quit. And I'm not going to quit. If I didn't, that's the real test of a guy who's committed to message. That's the real test of a guy who is who's on point no matter what. And so I'm not quitting. You guys can go fuck yourselves. Because to me, it's worth it to get the word out. And I haven't produced a new book. I haven't published a new book in 2 years now. So, but this year we'll publish this year. So my revenue is okay. It's been better, but the thing is it's barely worth it. It's put it this way: I make more money off of Substack than I do off of this show. I make more money off of Substack than I do off of Twitter, by the way. I just got Elon bucks. I got 56 Elon bucks for the month of March, I think. And I'm like, how is it that I can go, and I had at least 2 viral tweets over the month of March. How is it that I'm getting 56 bucks for this? And Ashley St. Clair, Ashley St. Clair is making it the hundreds of thousands, or no, she's making it the tens of thousands of dollars, or she was. I'm probably not now. Is that how Elon pays child support? He's like, don't worry, I got you. Just check your Elon bucks at the end of the month. I'll pay for the kid. Don't worry. At least then it's a tax write-off. Yeah. So I am not. I'm not backing down. I'm not giving up. But I just want to let you know that sometimes it's frustrating. It's hard to get up and come up with new material and talk about stuff and try to keep it topical, try to keep it something that's educated, something useful. And like I said, the more I'm writing the book, the more this kind of inspires the book too. But I'm an author before I'm a podcaster. Not to hear some people in the ivory tower talk that way, but I do what I do because it's what I want to do. And I heard Brett Cooper say something like that too. So I do have some professional respect for Brett Cooper. Like I said, we would probably be at odds about a great many things, but she was talking about how, she had to jump ship. She had to leave. She had to leave the Daily Wire, filing for bankruptcy protection. But don't forget filing for bankruptcy. And then, then Jeremy Boring's out. God knows what's going on with Shapiro right now. Everybody is already making speculations or making the Deadpool is on Matt Walsh right now. It's like when he's going to leave the show. And again, if Matt Walsh left, he would probably be at least as good off as Brett Cooper, I think. I don't know that he would make 1 million subs in the first week, but like Brett's like, she's young. She's like, 21, 22, something like that. And so she kind of has the youth factor going for her. Too many people like her. And then the other thing is she has a huge female audience too. So you cannot discount the female audience of Brett Cooper. And I'll tell you, probably the best thing that happened to Brett is, what's this? Hang on one sec. The best thing that ever happened to Brett is the fact that her best friend took over her show and stabbed her in the back, and now everybody's like, "Oh, that bitch!" It's like total drama island. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, you can put that in there.
Gotcha.
Just for the moment. Sorry guys, we have to go to subscriber mode for the chat right now because because Glenn Lawrence's trolls have decided to come and brigade the chat right now. So. Yeah. And by the way, people are going to ask me this anyway, so I'll just address it right now. People are asking me like, "Oh, Rollo, how come you didn't go on Rule 0 for Red Pill Thor's benefit thing?" And I'll tell you, for one person, you know who. Not even going to mention my name, right? And I really think that's sad because I really love Thor and I do talk to him on the side. So just so you guys know, it's not because I'm being a dickhead. It's just because I don't see any reason to be on a show with somebody who brigades my chats, for example. So, yeah. While I'm trying to turn a buck on this fucking show. 49 pages deep into the player's handbook. What I got so far is stroke their ego and point them in the direction you want. Hold that thought. We're going to get to that here. We're almost into hour 1. So let me get Luke Perry. The Luke Perry. I love it whenever somebody names himself out as a celebrity. I'm like, the Luke Perry, the Johnny Depp. Yes, it's me. Johnny Depp has been watching your show. Player's Handbook is a must read for all straight males over 14. Well, I should certainly hope you know you're straight at 14. My favorite book in the Rational Male collection. Cool. It needs to be promoted more in the Red Pill community. It should be. But the thing is the Red Pill community, like what even is the Red Pill community now? That's the thing that gets me is like too many people have sort of liberated or appropriated, let's say, the term Red Pill. So if you're like a groiper or whatever the hell, I don't even know what the hell to call it, then suddenly you're Red Pill. Like, no, you're not. No. Sorry. Would you like me to show you the tweet would you like me to show you the blog post? The earliest blog, I went to look this up. The earliest blog post I made on the So Suave forums where I used the term Red Pill was December of 2004. How old was Fuentes in 2000? Was he any years old? I don't think so.
I would have been 2.
2. You would have been 2?
I would have been 2.
See? God, you wouldn't even be watching TV. You'd be watching Bear in the Big Blue House.
Clifford
the Big Red Dog, yes. Rella, how much more is hypergamy related to biology and DNA estrogen in your estimation than our culture? Hold that thought, because that is item number 6 in today's. You guys are on your game today. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that, Boa. That will be answered. Alpha, the Alpha podcast do you actually have a podcast called Alpha? Women get offended by, of course, if he does, like, I'm just giving you material right now. Okay. Just like, give me a reach around at least. Women get offended by serving a male, a man. How come betas don't get upset being their slave as ASL? ASLI. Shouldn't betas feel degraded? They should, but they're betas. See, the thing is like when people when we start talking about alpha and beta, we talk about blue pill and red pill. Those are mutually exclusive terms, by the way. But if you're going to talk about a guy who's sort of like the guys who fuck and guys who don't fuck. Okay. Guys who don't fuck live in a state of sexual deficit. So they don't know that they should feel degraded. That's the problem. It's because it's sexual strategy, a mating strategy, right? They don't feel degraded by that because if you're the kind of guy who lives in a state of deficit, you get to the point where anything is normal. And so a lot of times guys who are more beta, guys who are more blue pill, whatever you want to call it, tend to not understand the disrespect that they're actually experiencing from women because they think that in doing so, it's just something that they have to bear, right? Oh, I just got to do better. Or they don't even recognize disrespect when it's presented to them. And the funny thing is like women understand this, especially the women who are disrespecting the guy. If you accept that, all it does is confirm their estimate of you. So when a woman disrespects you, it's a form of a shit test for sure. I mean, it can come in different contexts, but when a woman disrespects a guy, it's to see if that guy understands that he's being disrespected. If you've read my first book, you already know the chapter in there that's called Just Get It. And women want a guy who just gets it. Not always in the positive, but it can be in the negative as well. So women want a guy who just gets it, like a guy who like understands like how to play the game, how to play with her and play with her. And they want a guy who doesn't explain the game, but is a good player of the game. Because women don't want to be told that they're playing the game. You're breaking character. They don't want to have some smart ass, gamma male guy who keeps, an Excel spreadsheet about how many times he's been like rejected and going, well, the reason you're being this way, bitch, is because, you're not responding to my neg hit. You're not responding. The reason you're like this is because you've been trained as a woman by society to think one way. And it's like, if you're explaining the game, women want to punch you in the face. They feel like that way. I've had women tell me they have this uncontrollable urge to punch this kind of guy in the face. Kind of guy, right? It's the guy who explains everything. You don't have to explain everything. Guys who are like that need like explanations in their movies, right? Why was Han Solo named Han? Solo. Because he was alone. Okay, I'm going to put solo. Like, you don't have to explain everything. And you as a guy don't have to explain everything too. You just have to get it. You have to be a good player of the game. People go, well, isn't that jester maxing or dancing monkey or whatever the fuck it is? Yes, it is. And I'm sorry to say that you got to, if you want to get laid, if you want to be in it, you're going to have to learn how to play the game better than anybody else. And the fact that if that offends you or if that makes you feel like you're less authentic than you really are, you don't understand the nature of the game. You can be the good guy or you can be the guy that saves the world, but you can't be fucking both. What game do you want to fucking play? But 9 times out of 10, beta guys don't realize that they're being disrespected because they're in such a state of sexual deficit that they haven't encountered or haven't experienced that kind of disrespect. So they sit there and they're, huh? They're naive. They're bumpkins, right? And they don't know that they're being disrespected. Boy, I'll tell you what. When you finally learn this stuff, after you're done reading all my books, once you understand like female nature, male nature, intersexual dynamics, the confluence of the two of those, once you do, you will see disrespect everywhere. Like that shit with Alec Baldwin and his wife, and they were like in bed together and are talking about, now tell the people what I told you to say, honey. Here's what bye. Bye, Felicia. Wait, do I have it? Do I have bye, Felicia? I do.
Bye, Felicia.
That's what you should say. And
Dump that bitch.
There, that's where you should go. That's what you should do. Alec, if you're watching, I know you're trigger happy, but don't kill the bitch. But
Gotcha, bitch.
You're being disrespected. Well, how come he doesn't know he's being disrespected? He knows. Alec Baldwin probably knows, but if he doesn't, it's because he's in such a state of sexual deficit. Well, how is that, Rollo? He's famous. No, not famous enough. Fame, money, affluence, whatever you want to call it. Whatever. That's no insurance policy against being beta and having a blue pill mindset. That's no insurance. It's no insulation. No insulation from understanding. Like when people are like, well, I can't believe that Jeff Bezos would get with, what's her name? Sanchez? Lauren Sanchez. Dirty Sanchez. Yeah. I can't believe he'd get with Dirty Sanchez. Yeah, because he still doesn't get it. He's alpha to be like, what? He's lifting now. Look at him. It's like, yeah, that dude's not on TRT. That dude is on fucking Trent. That dude is on like Masterone. He's on fucking Deca. I don't know. He's on something, but it ain't fucking just TRT. He's not Cypionate. That guy is mainline at HGH or something. I don't know, but like, I mean, he does look good. But like the fact that he would think that Lauren Sanchez would be a viable option to a guy who's the second richest motherfucker in the world, dude. Do you know who you are? I actually said that. I told that to Robert Kiyosaki one time because he was like getting all despondent about Kim one time. I go, Robert, do you know who the fuck you are? He's like, you're Robert Kiyosaki, for fuck's sake. I'm like, if anything, I gotta protect you. Yep. 12 Rules fails trying to reinvent male values. Yes, it does. And it sounds like wizardly. It's like there's the Miguel laugh. It sounds like, are you a wizard? God, President Sunday did this show on Jordan Peterson, and I laughed like for 2 hours straight. Man, it was fucking great. Don't quit. Here's some for the tuition. Well, thank you. I appreciate. I'm not quitting. Don't worry. I have. I've been doing this too long to quit. You know why? Because it's kind of sick in a sense. Because really the methodology of it, like changing the algorithm so that your super chats are less. And by the way, I checked with Aaron Clary about this.
Uh-huh.
Aaron is experiencing the exact same thing that I am with respect to
on the same list.
Yep, we're on the same list. I need to. Okay, let me put this out. Rich Cooper, if you're experiencing this, let me know. MTR, if you're experiencing this, let me know. Sandman, if you're experiencing this, let me. Is it Sandman or Stardust? Either one. Cool. You're at the top of the list. You would know. If you're experiencing the super chat negligence or whatever censorship, let me know. I would really like to know because I'm just this close to uploading my my doctoral thesis about this to the FTC. Yeah. So no, I'm not quitting. I'm questioning my sanity and all of this, but no, I'm certainly not. But it's that's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think. It's not worthwhile. And they're right. It's not, because my subs are flatlined, my analytics are flatlined, and it's they don't go up and they don't go down. Right? My revenue goes down. My ad revenue goes down. And so they haven't demonetized me, but they've made doing this and doing what I do unprofitable. I can't profit from it. The only thing I can profit from is if you give me a super chat, or if you still can, or you click on Mike's link for MOA. That's my affiliate link. You click on Reignite and you want to get into Reignite, or you just click on my author's link there and buy a book. That's if you want to support the best way to support the show is buy a book. And then you got to look at the I could just do this right now, but look at the description sometime. Like, go and click on more and look at all the people and all the things that I have like listed on there for links and stuff. My band is on there. There's merch, by the way. If you guys are interested in merch, like I have Red One merch there. I have Jinx, my band Jinx merch is there. My old band Trial Ascension merch is still there if you want some. And then I'm trying to think and then there's Access Vegas merch that's on there as well. And then you'll find that it's below the fold. So you have to click more to get to that link, but the link is there. But if you look at the other links, like I'm buffing out Jevani Sanders, right? And it's like, because he's my boy. So I that's just what I do. I'm happy to help people on top of everything else. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating as fuck, man, because they want you to quit. I'm not demonetized, but I'm demonetized. Effectively, I'm demonetized. And trust me, if it works with me and Aaron Clary and MTR and Rich Cooper and the rest of these guys, it'll work with other people too. It'll work with political factions that they disagree with. So I think I put that up on last week's show with Elijah Crane talking to the doctor in the hearing. Rollo, have you? Okay, you get one.
How dare you?
Wait a minute, that's not the one I wanted. There you go. You have saved more men than emergency services rescue personnel. Please don't quit. I'm not quitting. Don't worry. It's all good. It's just frustrating. Celebrating a vasectomy can backfire. Yes, it can. In fact, if you have a wife or you have a girlfriend that is celebrating your vasectomy, A, don't get the vasectomy. B, you need to do this.
Dump that bitch.
That's what you should do. Wait, no, or better. I won't dare say we will go back. It gives them power to cheat without getting someone else pregnant. I won't dare say will we go back, but do you foresee us having balance in the sexual marketplace someday? The only thing that would balance the sexual marketplace in the most immediate sense would be hormonal birth control for men. You could get a pill for men. First of all, fertility would fall off a cliff. The cliff it's already fallen off of, it would fall off the next cliff. But it would at least balance the equation. Because you have to, people just can't wrap their heads around this. Because people keep saying, like, every time like I talk about like what has happened in like a social paradigm since the sexual revolution, I always keep going back to 1965, which is when HBC, hormonal birth control, the pill, became popularized. And then lo and behold, we have the sexual revolution that comes after that. Then you got Woodstock and the boomers and the hippies, and you got the militant feminists of the late 60s and early 70s. Then you have no fault divorce because now you have a technology that allows people to fuck without the worry of pregnancy. So why would I be with this asshole? And women become more empowered. They get into the workforce. You see productivity explode through the 70s up to where we're at now, but mean wages stay the same. 70, then you have 72, 74, something like that. Roe v. Wade. Then you have, which is on-demand abortion. And then you've got the gold standard, 1971. Then you have the credit companies effectively giving women credit lines and allowing them to take out credit cards and stuff like that because we're on a fiat currency after that. All of these things keep coming back to 1 year. What year is that? 1965. So people think I overblow the hormonal birth control thing. But like I please correct me. I'm showing you the stats right here from 90. Everything traces back to that one thing. And why is that? Because it placed human reproduction, the choice of human reproduction, unilaterally in the hands of one sex, not men. So is it any surprise that we live in a gynocentric social order? We have strong independent women, every byword, every catchphrase, every meme that was popularized from 1968 through like 1972 is still on the lips of 19-year-old girls on Fresh and Fit. Like, is it any shock? I'm not shocked because they keep repeating it over and over and over again. It won't die based on false premises on top of that. But the reason for that is because we have hormonal birth control, and it is only in the hands of one sex right now. They go, well, you could go put a condom on. Yeah, you could until you get into a relationship with that person. You trust that woman to be on hormonal birth control. And oops, I forgot to take it. It was an accident. It was an oops. She was an oops baby. I'm sorry, Kyle. We love you very much because you're our son, but you are an oops son.
I was actually planned.
You were an unplanned pregnancy. Right? Yes. How do you like that? I was an oops.
Shit.
Great. The only thing that I can see in the most immediate sense would be to balance that out is to take at least 50% of the control of human reproduction out of the hands of women. That would definitely offset a lot of shit. I'm just saying. And there we go. Tuition plus Ned's college fund. Wow, Wayne got a $100 super chat through. Wayne, I hate to do this to you, but if you'd be so kind, next week, try to do another 100 and see what happens. Because I don't think you'll be able to do it again. I think this is probably the first time you've ever done this. I think after you do that, then you're not allowed to do it anymore. Because some people can get through. Obviously, there's a red super chat right there. But like, I'm thinking it might be based on how much you have given in the past. I'm pretty sure that's how they're like gaming the algorithm at this point. Nice shirt. You like my shirt? Yeah, my IFBB Pro shirt. Hell yeah. This is my Jack Reacher look. Which, by the way, was an awesome finale, by the way. I love me some Alan Rich. I don't have a man crush on him, but he's a pretty cool dude. And by the way, that dude is on gear. I'm just going to say that dude is definitely on gear. He keeps saying he's not. Well, we were like, Kyle and I were taling about this before we came on the show today. And I was like, that's not TRT.
No,
he's 40 years old. Dude is 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", like 240, 270. Like, dude's huge.
I can't even believe how big must the Dutch giant be if he's
like almost 7 foot.
That guy is titanic.
Huge.
But yeah, the only person they could find bigger than Alan Richardson was the Dutch giant for that show. What a great show, by the way. I thought it was awesome. But definitely on gear. They told me he said that the producers hit him up because I subscribed to his Instagram. He said that the producers wanted him to bulk up more for this, like get bigger than he was before, and he certainly has, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, so I went on TRT. I'm like, bitch, you did not go on TRT. That is not Scipionate. I know Scipionate. That's not no fucking Scipionate. And no hate whatsoever. You know, if you're going to be on gear, that's fine. I think more people have a problem with you trying to like pretend that you're not on gear. Like if you said you were on gear, people are like, okay, what's your stack? You know? Yeah. This is, by the way, this shirt is like one of 3. I've got a black one. I've got a gray one. I got this one. They were selling these at Powerhouse Gym. And I'm like, I will take all 3 of those. I watched The Men Who Built America, and the titans of industry were greedy. You think? The robber barons of the industrial age? Who'd have thunk? They brag over who had the most money. They cut wages and gave longer hours and no health benefits, which is why we needed unions at the time. And no health insurance. Lost respect for JP Morgan. I see why Democrats tax. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then remember child labor too. So they were like putting kids to work as young as 12 years old in the factories and everything, and they get sucked into the gears or whatever. Forget who was the labor guy, but the reason why we have Labor Day is exactly because of that. So yeah, I understand where they were greedy. Yeah, a lot of, and now the tech giants are greedy, and they brag about how much money they have. I just bought Access Vegas shirt. Oh, cool. Thank you. Bravo. Oh, you know what? You get one of those. Thank you. Looks dope. Yeah, you like my Betty shirt? That's pretty cool. There's only one shirt on there. It's my Betty Page shirt. And I did that too. All the designs, everyone you see on that site, which you can get the link in the description. I did everything, all the art, all the logos, everything, all my work. I didn't design the X-wing though. That's on Red One, but the Red One shirt's pretty. And by the way, like get those while they're hot because I haven't got these cease and desist orders from Lucasfilms yet. Looks dope. They didn't know they were available. I guess you cut your sleeves off. Yes, I always. So I can do this. Yeah. I didn't see one with the no sleeves. Yeah, well, because Sticker Mule doesn't do like tank tops yet, but when they do, you will see them. I'm trying to do this. I might have to like do this and like keep them here, but I'm trying to find like some thong panties so I can put them on Access Vegas logo over the cooch, right, in the triangle there. And I'm wondering like, should I sell those online or should I just keep them here so like I can give them to like certain chicks? Because I want them to take pictures so we can use those as marketing. You can have one like the girl. You can have one for free. Grab one out of the bowl.
Grab them before they leave.
Yeah. Yes. Jeez. Will young women ever be so unimpressed by the single 50-year-old feminist that they just stop listening to them? They're not now. Like if you get to be like, if you're 50 plus years old and you're still clinging to this feminist ideal, like Scott Galloway, I would say Justin Baldoni, but he's in his 40s. So, but even still, you get to your 40s and you're still clinging to this sneaky fucker. I'm a male feminist ally game. I think at some point, like women think that you ought to have learned your lesson by now, or like, and I think women in general, when a guy says he's a feminist, like, even women who you could be good looking, right? If they want to believe you, they're still kind of like, I don't know about this guy. Like Justin Baldoni, I'm not no homo, but the dude is he's got that look. He's got that chiseled jawline and everything else. Can't lift for shit. But trust me, I bench more than Baldoni. I will guarantee you that 100%. I bench more than Baldoni does. I deadlift, I squat way. Trust me, I can lift way more than that dude. But I think at some point, like one of the things I've told guys from my Reignite group and older guys from MOA is that at some point, like, you got to have your shit together. And one of the expectations, one of the congruencies that women have for older guys is they expect you to have your shit together by a certain age. So if you're 40 some odd years old or you're 50 years old, whatever it is, there's this expectation that you have command over your own frame, over your own world, over your own, your own empire. And even if you don't, the expectation is there, right? So there's nothing more pathetic than a guy who's like 40 years old and he's still living in mom's baby, the 40-year-old virgin, right? He's still hasn't lived up to his peak potential. He hasn't lived up to his burden of performance. He has less things about him that are respectable. And I think that that's probably one of the things that you're going to see going forward. I was I was reading, I think it was Mac and Murphy or somebody. These guys really, really don't want you to think that older guys can get with younger chicks. Yeah. And I can tell you first fucking hand, I see it like so regularly that they're full of shit. There's no other way to put it. They're basically full of shit. And they're full of shit because they don't see it happening. Statistics this and assortative mating that. And no, I literally watch a guy like Mike Sartain get with Kylie. Right? I literally watch him get with women who are 20 years his junior. Right? And they go, oh, well, he's famous. He's got money. He's got this. Yeah, he does. I know Justin Waller does. I know Myron Gaines does. I know I probably could too. But, I know enough guys who are in their late 30s, mid 40s, and some in their 50s who are like Kilgore, man, for James Kilgore, for Christ's sake, man. That dude clean. I know because I've dropped him off at his 25-year-old girlfriend's apartment. I know exactly what I'm talking about. But they really, really don't like that. They really don't want that to be a thing. But women are looking for guys that are older than them. And generally between 3 to 7 years older, depending on the chick, depending on the location, depending on the context, whatever else. Though that by all numbers, people say, oh, it's 4 or 5 years. That's the mean or the mean average. 3 to 7 years older is usually where women like sort of decide that. And by the way, it depends on the age of the chick. So if you got a girl who's like 27, a guy who's 30, that's not old. He's just 3 years older than she is. Well, he's 30. So, and I got this. The reason I'm bringing this up, by the way, is because I was just looking at this from The Hill, and this was about a year ago, 2 years ago, and it is most young men are single, most young women are not. More than 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of unattached young women, signaling a larger breakdown in the social, romantic, and sexual life of the American male. Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic. Who writes this shit? An epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that afflicts all of young America. We're in a crisis of connection, said Noble Way, a psychology professor and founder of the Project for Advancement of Our Common Humanity. Who the fuck names this? Project for the Advancement of Our Common Humanity. This is the person you decided that you were going to quote. At New York University. Oh, that explains it. Disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other, and it's getting worse. In the worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. Younger men are largely responsible for rising rates of mass shootings, which is arguable. It depends on what the demographic is. A trend some researchers link to their growing social isolation. Social changes that began in the Eisenhower years have eroded the patriarchy that once ruled the American home. Classrooms and rural workspace. Yeah, all happened right after 1965. Women now collect nearly 60% of the bachelor's degrees. Men still earn more, but among the youngest adults, the income gap has narrowed to $43 per week. $43 per week. Scholars say the new era of gender parity has reshaped relationships dynamics, empowering young women and, in many cases, removing young men from the equation. Women don't need to be in long-term relationships. They don't need to be married. They'd rather go to lunch with friends than have a horrible date, said Greg Matos, a couple and family psychologist in Los Angeles who recently penned the viral article, What's Behind the Rise of Lonely Single Men? Okay. Recent years have seen historic rise in unpartnered. Can we just say like they're not getting after it? Like unpartnered. Well, there's that word again, partnered. Americans, particularly among the young. The pandemic made things worse. We're well past the pandemic right now. As of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of U.S. adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults single, 34% of women, and a whopping 63% of men. All right, so that's where those numbers come from, because I think a lot of people have been like using like the single stats, and everyone is trying to downplay this, from Mac and Murphy to Alex from Date Psych to the Ivory Tower, right? The gatekeepers of Evo Psych. They just simply don't want this to be. And the problem I have with this is that, the problem they have with this is that it confounds their hopes and dreams that men and women are going to be finding each other based on sort of mutual ages, mutual interests, mutual physiques, mutual. I'll remind everyone that a lot of that sexlessness, a lot of that sort of that downturn in sex and unpartnered people has a lot to do with the fact that 75% of the population is overweight. And a good portion of those, 30 some odd percent, are obese. So you can start there. And I have to, because I have to do a hat tip to Aaron Clary, because that's what he's going to talk about. But the thing is that it goes against everything that these guys want everyone to believe, that, it's all about assortative mating. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but the idea of assortative mating is that like gets with like. And prior to the sexual revolution, you might have a case. You might have convinced me that, social stresses and locations and convenience would have made assortative mating a thing. And I keep coming back to this because we sorted this shit out back in the mid 2000s forums of the social forums and in the seduction communities. And the reason why we kind of lost any kind of respect for assortative mating was because we're seeing it happen live in real time. That was remember, this is the first time like you got a bunch of guys getting together and they're an aggregate of information about dating, about intersexual dynamics for the first time in history. And so now with social media, now with dating, with OkCupid, with online, AI now, with everything that's happening right now, it has kind of thrown that hypothesis, and it is still a hypothesis, that people likes don't necessarily get with likes, or they certainly don't get with what they would want to be with. So I kept throwing, every time I talk about this on Access Vegas, I talk about it with Mike, and we start getting into assortative mating, stuff. And I'm like, well, prior to the sexual revolution, that might have been a thing. But now, since we have sort of freed up, we've invented a technology that places reproduction in the hands of one sex. And we have created a technology that allows men and women to, for better or worse, to have sex without the worry, or marginally, relatively, without the risk of pregnancy. So what does humanity, what does our real sexual strategies look like without the fetters that are on hypergamy, without the rules, without the stigmas, without the social stigmas, the religious stigmas, whatever it is? What does that look like? What does a society by women for women look like? What does a religion by women for women look like? We're seeing it now. We're seeing wokesy religion, which is sort of like this new agey kind of like love is love. And, no one is illegal, open borders. No one is, it's just this constant flow. Like when people keep asking me, and I'll be the first to tell you, if you ask me in person, I'll be happy to give you my opinion on this. But a lot of the wokesy kind of narrative, the philosophy, the mindset of the woke is really it was really female based. It's almost entirely female based. It's based in emotion. Technically, it's based on the 4 pillars of liberalism, which are social constructionism, the blank slate, emotionalism, and egalitarianism. You kick out any of those 4 legs from that stool, and the whole thing collapses. So when people say, "Well, society wants," even Scott Galloway, just a moment ago when I was putting the thing on there, society convinced me that boys don't cry. No, they don't cry because they lack the emotional mechanics that women do. But because we live in a gynocentric social order, guys like Scott Galloway, male feminists, male allies, guys like Scott Galloway need a convenient foil for why they're not crying. Well, why didn't you? I didn't cry when I got divorced. Yeah, because you probably hated that bitch, man. I wouldn't cry either. I'd be pissed. Pissed that you put all that energy and all that time and all that investment into that, and there you are. And the problem I think a lot of these guys are having is that they just simply don't want to abandon these leftist liberal memes of like, oh, we should have equality this, or we should have, egalitarian ideals. Emotions are everything. That's how you know a guy, if you ever want to figure out whether a guy's like mental point of origin, which by the way is in the next book as part of a key element here. You ever want to figure out what a guy's mental point of origin is, say something true but unflattering about female nature, and they'll be the first ones to jump in and say, well, men do it too, and they do it worse. Well, what about men? What about men? Any guy, but any woman, you can probably expect it from women, but any guy, that's their reflexive response. That guy's mental point of origin is women. He doesn't want any woman within earshot not hear him defend Milady's honor. Well, what about women? What about them? I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about women in this instance. We can talk about men in another podcast, in another subject, in another thread. We can talk about that. Why are you bringing men into this equation? I'm talking about the nature of women. Then we're going to keep this exclusive. Well, the reason why they have a problem is because you cannot talk about women without including men. We have to keep things balanced. No, we fucking don't. I can actually isolate. I have the critical thinking capacity to isolate certain topics and talk about just those fucking topics. But that's not enough for these guys. So when you hear somebody like Scott Galloway talking about like, we need to give up this macho masculine bullshit. Yeah, the reason why is because your mental point of origin, Scott Galloway, is fucking women. And you don't want to have nothing, the concept, the idea that men might. Did we lock up? No, we didn't lock up. I'm watching the thing here. Yeah. The idea that we might say something that is an unflattering truth about women's nature without also counterbalance the yin and the yang, without counterbalancing that with some unflattering truth about men, and more unflattering because we got to defend. That's you putting women as your mental point of origin. So, but there's no room. It's not even an afterthought when if I say, well, how about this? Men and women process emotion differently. So the things that would make a woman cry are not necessarily what would make a man cry. But in a gynocentric social order, we say that the guy who doesn't cry at the end of fucking Titanic is mentally, emotionally stunted. You should cry. You should be able to do it. Well, men and women process emotions differently, particularly negative emotions. Because men's default emotion is to get pissed, to get angry, to lash out. Women's default emotion a negative emotion is crying because they're the vulnerable sex. Help me, help me, help me. Help me and my baby survive the saber-toothed tiger attack. Men, I gotta kill the saber-toothed tiger. Right? We have to be angry. That's what we default to. But that would countermand the blank slate. That would countermand the social constructionism, because that's what he relies on for his explanation of why he does it. I was conditioned not to cry. No, you don't have you don't have the machinery up here. Your brain is not wired like a woman, but what you have been conditioned for is to feel bad about not crying, about not emoting, about not expressing that. And the reason why is because you're a fucking guy. You're a dude, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that. But you won't know that because in every time that there is anything that is unflattering about the female nature, you have to add men into that equation. That's why, because you can't isolate those two. So women are emotional. They're much more emotional than men. Oh, they also process emotion differently. How do we know that? Oh, I don't know. Probably the last 60 some odd years of studying it. There's more than enough data, women default to emotion. Instinct, emotion, and reason. Men, instinct, reason, and emotion. We decide, once we've gotten ourselves out of fucking trouble and figured things out rationally, then we decide how we felt about that. We don't get PTSD until after the firefight, not during the firefight, okay? I mean, maybe you'll freak out, but you're trying to save your life. You're trying to figure out how you're going to do so, and then you can figure out how you feel about it. Women, how do I feel about this? And then what's a solution to this? I'm not saying one's better than the other. One might be more beneficial in certain situations than others, right? Especially when it comes to kids and comes to nurturing and stuff like that. You might want to put feels before reals in those situations, but you still got to deal with reals. And that's the problem that I have with most of these guys is it's the feels before reals. We need to start putting reals before feels. And so if they're, well, I didn't cry when my wife left me. So, and who cares? Oh, but I would feel better if I did. No, you'd be more like a chick. Because in a gynocentric social order, the leftist, whatever, liberalism, in a gynocentric social order, you are an anomaly. You are the aberration as a guy. Because a more perfected man, a perfect man looks, talks, acts like a fucking chick. That's why. So when guys are like, oh, well, I'm going to tell you something about you've insulted women. I'm going to go and say something about men. That's because you think like a chick. If you were analytical, if you were much more reasonable about stuff, you would be like, okay, I can compartmentalize, and without having to feel bad about it. But you are meant to feel bad about it. In fact, we're like biologically, what is it? The women are wonderful phenomenon. We're biologically wired to want to defend the lady because we think that if we do, we're going to get our dick sucked. That's how it works. What do you got? My girlfriend of 3 years is hard left wing. I'm sorry. Shout out to Monster Energy Drink. This is called Viking Juice. My favorite, my new favorite. My girlfriend of 3 years is hard left wing and gets deep into politics. Recently, she has gotten mad that I, moderate, is there such a thing? Don't get up in arms with her. Should I break it off with her? About what? I think I would kind of need some context with that. So she's deep into politics. Well, I don't know. I think a lot of guys, when women talk politics, it's, again, remember what they're beginning from. They're not beginning from rationality. They're beginning from emotion. And if I had to bet, if I were a betting man, I would say that a lot of the stuff that she gets deep into politics is about begin and end with the state and condition of women, or their topics and issues that affect women, and which means pretty much anything, right? So if men are lonely, if men are homeless, if men are jobless and unemployed, it affects women more than it affects men. Right? So I would need to know what the actual context is. Should you break it off with her? Not necessarily. Again, I think I would take it on a by case basis. I'll tell you. You want a quick story? When I was living in Reno, I used to play for a band called Trial of Ascension, and we had a female singer, Livy, who I love like a sister. And she was very, like, she was a teacher, special needs teacher. She went to many years of college to become a special ed teacher, and then realized that you can't make any money at it. She made more money at a weed dispensary than she did teaching and working at a school that she spent 8 years of her life to get a certification and degree for. Right? She was very, very liberal. And I said was because she's more, I would say, at the very least, I would say moderate right now, maybe more towards the conservative side. And I'm like, well, people go, well, how did that happen? Well, it wasn't so much the employment situation. It was that she started dating a guy who is enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. And so by hanging out with him and hanging out with his friends and everything else, she was exposed to ideas that challenged her beliefs. Now, has she abandoned all of them? I don't know. I can't say for sure because I haven't talked to her in a while. But I do know that there was a time where she became much more right-leaning as a result of the influence that her now husband, because they're married now, her now husband sort of exposed her to. So I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet, but I think it kind of just depends on how you want to is it worthwhile? Do you want to keep doing this or do you not want to keep it? It's really up to you. Oh, God. Anthrax or Megadeth? What do you think, Kyle?
I'm going to have to go Megadeth.
God, that's a tough one.
I know.
I'm going to go Anthrax on this one. Only because Anthrax is I grew up on it. I grew up on both of these, actually. I think the only reason I say Anthrax is because they're more like fun.
Yeah. Oh,
they don't take them. Well, I mean, not that Mustaine is like that, but and I love Dave Mustaine. That's a really tough. Well, why do you do this to me? Saying whiskey. I'm going to say Anthrax because I love just the fun. Every time I have gone to an Anthrax show, which the last one I went to was in 2017, but I would go see them again if I have the chance. If they ever come through Vegas. But I would definitely go see Anthrax again. But they're so much fun. They're just a fun band. For saying my opinion as on different issues with women, I've been accused of misogynist or male chauvinism. When asked them the difference between these two and masculine, they had no answer. Thoughts? Well, okay. So you brought up a topic that's actually on my list here today. The topic is one of the things that I'm kind of getting a little pissed off at these days is, as I said before recently, because of the fictional narrative of adolescence and the plausible depiction of how this might happen. The UK has decided that they are going to institute new classes to teach middle schoolers about toxic masculinity. Okay, great. Tell me what that is. Tell me what toxic masculinity is. It's killing little girls who are 13-year-olds with a knife. Well, that didn't happen. Not in this case, not as it was depicted in the thing. So what else do you got? Well, nobody wants to get particular about this. And then on top of that, I'm like, what is positive masculinity? You could read my book, Positive Masculinity, and there's lots of great ideas in there, but nobody wants to get Rollo on freaking Piers Morgan because I fuck things up for them. But what does that look like? Okay, first off, define toxic masculinity. They won't be able to do so. They think, well, when you see it, no, I need a definition, especially if we're going to institute policy to teach kids in school, mandate this in schools. And this is talking about the UK. That doesn't mean it wouldn't happen in Australia. They're already doing it. They have a cabinet position in Australia for re-educating men about masculinity. Literally, they have a cabinet position in Australia for that. I know because I told the guy to go to hell. But the fact that we're instituting these policies would mean, I would hope it would mean that we already have a clear definition of what this is. Nobody wants to say anything. And then I go, okay, well, fine. Like people, I love this. This was in a tweet I was doing not too long ago, and people were like, well, we need to teach men how to be a good man, right? How to be a good, we need more positive role models. I'm like, fucking great. What does that look like to you? Crickets. Nobody says jack shit. Everybody wants to diagnose the problem, but they don't have any solutions to the problem. They have no cure for the fucking disease that they think they know that they have. So what is it? What is positive and what is toxic, right? The problem is that the reason why that anything is toxic, masculinity itself is toxic. That's why. Everything is bad, nothing is good. And even the stuff that is good can turn bad if that guy doesn't behave himself and do what the gynocentric social order wants him to do. And really, essentially, as I said before, a good man looks like a chick. He emotes like a chick. He thinks like a chick. He thinks like a woman. He thinks female. Women are his mental point of origin. That's what they're aiming for. As I said before, we don't celebrate masculinity unless it looks like femininity. I said that on Dr. Phil. Hell, even Fox News picked up on that quote and they wrote a whole big ass article and never once consulted me to ask me about it. They just said, hey, do you think that this is right? Nobody fucking wanted to interview me. They just wanted to take my quote and run with it. But there was no discussion. There's no, hey, what is that? Okay, well, what is positive masculinity? What does conventional positive masculinity look like? No. Crickets. Silence. So until people can give me a clear, definitive answer to that and want to debate what that is, I can just tell you to go fuck yourself, because you don't have men's best interest in mind, and never have, and probably never will. Because now it's not about toxic masculinity. It's masculinity is toxic. There's nothing good about masculinity. And that's why they want you to turn into a woman. In some cases, literally. In some cases, get gender reassignment surgery. And you know what? We had a boy, and he's going to be masculine at some point. So we got to make sure that he's a girl by the time he's 4 years old. Right? You want to know where that comes from? You know where that ideology comes from? It comes from fear that the boy that they had might turn into a man later on. He might be toxic. He might turn into the next Andrew Tate. Yep. All right. See Sammy's. What is Sammy giving me? Maury is in the chat. Y'all need to have him on Access Vegas. Maury. I don't know who Maury is. Point him out. Maury Povich. Sandwich chef. Hell yeah. You're not 35. I know. Everybody wants to have. What is this? Rollo, why do they hate on guys with long hair? Because we live free.
It's like Fabio in the books.
We live free. That's why. You want to know why people hate guys? Okay, I have two reasons. First one is, if you have long hair and a guy has built his success on sort of business suits and ties and everything else, and you look like you have a decent amount of success, and you have long hair, or you have like a punk rock mohawk, purple hair, whatever, you know what it is. That guy lives pretty free, and it's sort of it's got a poke in the eye to guy. Hey, look, I beat this. I beat the odds. I beat the system, kind of thing. That's number one. And the other thing is, like, to this fucking day, man. I remember when this is the 80s, okay? So I'm just going to say, when there was a very young Rollo Tomasi, when I was 19, 20, 22, somewhere like my rock star 20s, I became aware of this dynamic that if you had long hair and another guy didn't, and you were getting more pussy than that guy was, and you were drawing more female attention than that guy was, and they couldn't, for whatever reason, because they worked somewhere. Like, remember, you couldn't work goddamn anywhere if you had long hair back then. You want to know why I cut my hair originally? Is so I could go work at the casinos, because I would make much more money at the casino. Like, when I got to be an art director at the casinos, you cannot. I don't know if it's like this anymore, but you could not have any facial hair. You could have a mustache, and you have a big old, John Holmes cum catcher mustache, right? You know, like
John,
you look like you could look like Freddie Mercury, and that was about it.
Ron
like,
Jeremy said.
Yes, and you had to have your hair could not be more than like just it couldn't even be shoulder length. It had to be to a certain point, right? And so then I tried to do the chin strap. Nope, they won't let you do that. And so I kind of had to live by casino rules for a very long time. In fact, I had long hair right up until I was about 30. And then I cut it, and then I knew my mom was dying, and my mom was like, I want to see you with long hair before I pass away. So then I started growing it out in 2018. I've left it long since then. But I did realize back in my even my high school years, like people would just hate on you. Like, oh man, you guys are you gay? You know, I was like, no, but I'm pulling more tail than you are. You know, it was different times, man. It was just like guys in like the guys in Poison look better than the girls in the audience. But those dudes, they fucked. Trust me, Bret Michaels fucked. Okay. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I read this article in Playboy one time, and it was an interview of Bret Michaels. Now, I don't usually, back then, I certainly wasn't reading Playboy for its incisive interviews, but it was Bret Michaels. So I'm like, okay. And then the interviewer asked him about his sex life, and he asked me, he said, how many times in one day have you had sex? He thought about it for a second. He goes, 8. So, and then I went home and jerked off. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, again, it's just I don't think it's so much the hair. I think it's just sort of the implied meaning that goes along with it. Like guys who had long hair in the 80s, you kind of, I mean, as long as they had they looked good and they weren't
Motley Crue.
Yeah, Motley Crue. Remember, people were a lot thinner back then too. So, anyways, now we're going to get into a couple of things here. I wanted to talk about sort of playing by the old rules versus playing by the new rules. Now, where did I come up with this concept? If you've read my second book, which is Preventative Medicine, I get into this a little bit more. What is this? Sophia Rain lied about her age. She wasn't 18. Ooh, geez. How old was she? 12. So there's a chapter in my second book, Preventative Medicine, and it's about an individual named Thomas Ball. Thomas Ball set himself on fire back in 2014, I think, and he left a manifesto, a very long one too. He basically self-immolated is what he did, and the reason he did so was because he was making a point about like divorce laws and stuff. He did so on the courthouse steps, I think it was West Virginia somewhere, and set himself on fire as a political / social statement, and just to draw awareness. Guy was suicidal and despondent, let's just say. But he did so because he lost his custody battle for his kids. He was trying to get custody of his kids, or at least get some sort of visitation or whatever. And if you have the capability of setting yourself on fire, maybe you shouldn't be around kids in the first place. But it was kind of interesting because in his manifesto, he talked about how there was one set of rules that he thought everybody else was playing by. And if you follow those rules and you do those things, and if you go to school, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a good job, you do what you're a good boy, you do what you're told, you follow the trust the process, right? Or you go to the military, right? And if you do so, you will be rewarded with merit, with burden of performance. You'll be rewarded with money. You'll be rewarded with a stable, at least a semi-stable life, right? Now, obviously, you can build up past that and have some ambition and everything. But Thomas Ball wasn't an ambitious guy, and so he essentially went through the divorce machine and discovered that there was a second set of rules. And the second set of rules were what his wife was playing by and what the attorneys were playing by, and the divorce attorney and the child custody attorney. And now he was wondering, why am I being run up the flagpole? I'm doing all the right things. Why am I being punished for doing the right thing, for following the program? And the reason why is because he was playing by one old set of rules, and his ex-wife, his now widow wife, was playing by another set of rules. And I've always used that example to make a distinction between the red pill and the blue pill, to make a distinction of what you used to think was true and what you used to think was the process and what you used to think was the right way to do it. I'm doing the right thing. I got a girl pregnant. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to stick around and I'm going to support her. I'm going to do the right fucking thing. And the problem is that as we became more connected, as we have more internet, as we have more access to information, as we have access to guys who are, maybe they're divorce coaches, maybe they're sharing their collective experience, they come to realize that there is a second set of rules. They thought they were playing by the rule set that everybody else was, and they're not. Now, that relates to divorce, but the rule books can apply to, and remember this, I hate to use allegory, I'm using metaphor. I know I shouldn't, because there's going to be some literalist spurg that's going to, say, that's not what you really mean. I know this is what I really mean. It's a metaphor for the fact that you think certain things should go this way. You'll be rewarded if you follow the Bible. You'll be rewarded if you do these things. You'll be rewarded and you will please God or your mother or your wife or whatever it is if you follow this program. And increasingly more and more guys are starting to question that. You want to know why guys are opting out of society? Why are guys leaving? Why are guys lonely? Why is 63% of guys single and 34% of women are attached, let's just say? Well, clearly it's because those women are going for older guys, but why are those guys single? Why are they dropping out? There's the expectations of women, there's all that, but there's a second set of rules that women are playing by that those guys are not. And men are just now becoming aware, certainly within the last 10, 20 years, are becoming aware of that second set of rules increasingly. Now, I said on this show, last show, I think, I said, you take me away, you take away Myron, you take away Mike, you take away Kyle, you take away everybody. You just basically erase the red pill tomorrow. And the second set of books versus the first set of books, that awareness is still gonna be there. You can demonetize my channel, YouTube. You can go and make it so it's not worthwhile for me to think that it's not worthwhile for me to do this, but you can't kill that idea. You can't kill that awareness. The UK can make all of the anti-red pill manosphere toxic masculinity classes they want to with ambiguous definitions of what the hell they're even talking about, but you can't kill the idea and you can't kill that awareness without erasing the internet wholesale. You have to basically shove everybody's head in the sand, and you're not going to do that. The red pill is an idea whose time has come. And I mean that from intersexual dynamics and what I do. I don't mean that from a political, MAGA this or whatever. I mean from an intersexual dynamics perspective. The red pill is an idea whose time has come. Deal with it, because we're now having to deal with your bullshit. We're trying to untangle the fucking mess that you guys tangled. And so when people say, well, why do women do this or why are men dropping out? I was asked this by two women last week. One was Abigail Schreier. She's a journalist for the New York Times or New York something or other, right? She wanted to get, I checked her out beforehand. Just don't relax. Asked me those questions. Why do you think that it's unfair, that what men are going through is unfair? I'm like, well, it doesn't matter whether they think it's fair. It's not. They have to deal with the new set of books. They have to deal with this new reality. They have to deal with this new paradigm, and they're still trying to figure it out. Same thing. By the way, I was on Jedediah Biela's show on Wednesday. It was recorded. It will be released on Tuesday. She assures me, Jed assures me.
That's nasty.
She assures me that it will be out on Tuesday. So if you want to watch me and Jed, I was on for an hour with Jed, so you can check that out. I'll be on Tuesday. So if you haven't subscribed to Jedediah Biela's channel, please do so now. She's the Joan Rivers of the Manosphere.
That's nasty.
It's funny, as I was talking to her about that, I go, you know what? I kept your spirit alive by using that sound drop all the time, because she's still saying that's nasty. She still says that, right? Like that's her catchphrase right now. But anyways, those are the rule books. So the problem is that too many guys are still using that old set of rules when it comes to dating, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to when it comes to men's expectations of women. Their rule set is still kind of mired in 20th century expectations. We're almost 25 years. Can you believe that? 25 years into the 21st century right now. And we're still trying to figure this shit out. I mentioned this on both occasions when I talked to Jed and I talked to Abigail, is the reason why men are dropping out is because they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know what to do with the average woman. Average woman doesn't want the average man. So what do guys do? Well, they have to either become elites or they check out. Marriage is for elite men. According to women, it is. I didn't say it. This is according to women. You have to be richer. You have to be taller. You got to be more muscular. You got to be in better shape. You got to be, Myron has enumerated this a million times. You have to be more than she is. And if guys don't think they can be that, or if they don't want to be that, they check out. Simple as that. They're trying to. So when I hear somebody like Alex from Date Psych or Mac and Murphy or the rest of these guys talk about assortative mating, all I have to do is point to those stats. I can point to the stats that say 63% of guys are single and 34% of women are single. And so who are they fucking? Who are they in a relationship with? Right? Well, older guys, obviously. But the thing is the reason why why is it that there is 2/3 more men single than women? Because men are dropping out. They don't see any point. What's the juice is not worth the squeeze. There's your black pill quote today, right? At least that's what they think. I happen to think that's sort of a self-defeatist attitude, but you can either, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. You can either hate the game or you can play the game better. And most guys just simply don't see the point in playing the game any better. They're comfortable where they're at, whether it's pornography or their sedations or whatever it is. There's not much inspiration. There's not motivation. What's their motivation to do anything? The reason why, here's another great shining example of this. And I think I have. Yeah, I do. I'm just going to play this really quick because this is easier. This will help me. I'm going to defer. To where is it? Is this the one? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to defer to Andrew Wilson here to make my point for me, just to let you guys know.
I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector, and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Let me just bring up, do you notice, first of all, when he says, okay, these are all the things that you expect a man to do, a provider, a protector, you're home at night and somebody starts rattling at the door. You want the guy to be the one to protect that home. These are all, yes, these are expectations that traditional conservative women have of men. And in my view, it's correct to assume that. Yes, a man should be a provider. A man should be a protector. A man should be a masculine man. But you notice that when he turns around, and Andrew Wilson, I don't know a lot about Andrew Wilson and what he's saying about other topics. I have no idea. But in this clip, he's right. Because when he turns around and he says to Tomi Lahren, okay, so these are the things you expect of men. What can men expect rightfully of women? What are the duties that a woman should do? She immediately turns around, and there's a lot of defensiveness in what she's saying, but she says, well, I don't think, you should have to expect anything.
Because she doesn't know. Because this is a state of modern women. They don't have an answer. Just like they don't have an answer for what states border on fucking Canada. They don't know. They're not prepared for that question. And when I watched this, and I'll let Jed finish out here in a second, but when I watched that question, that was like, you could hear a pin drop. Well, what do men get out of the deal? That's essentially what he was asking. And I know people can say what you want to about Andrew. I like Andrew well enough. I think he might have been a little out of his elements here, but still did very well. But the whole thing, when he asked that question, it was kind of like when I was on Dr. Phil, and I was presented with the question, what about, we got to we got to fight for women's rights or something like that. And I go, what rights do women not have? And you could have heard a pin drop. And there was like 300, 400 people in that live studio fucking audience, and not one of them could say anything. And then, of course, they pop up with, well, what about the gender wage gap? I'm like, first of all, that's bullshit. And I explained, I was ready, man. I was on point. Because a lot of this stuff, what's funny is like a lot of people think that they're going to get you with, 77 cents on the dollar. Like, no, you're not going to get me, because I already know that that's nonsense. I even had Richard Reeves back me up on that too. But you could have heard the pin drop when I said, well, what rights do women not have? I can name lots of rights men do not have that women enjoy. The first one is selective services. Thank God we didn't get into that topic, because that would have run out the whole show clock on that one. But the thing is the reason, and I think Jed gets this too. The reason why Tomi Lahren couldn't, like, she was stammering and sputtering and, point and sputter is all she had. I don't think you're a real man. You notice they always say that? Mm-hmm. It's always a personal attack.
They demasculate you.
Yeah, when they don't know. God, can you imagine being married to that? That voice. She's Tom. There was I don't know if you guys remember, this was back in 2020. It was August of 2020. And this is before she married that baseball player, Tomi Lahren. And I did this breakdown of her, this YouTube screed that she did. She just took her phone, because it was 2020. So we're in the middle of COVID, right? It's August of 2020. And she's just unhinged. She's like, where's my man? I'm 28 years old. I'm not getting any younger. Blah, blah. And she was going through the epiphany phase, obviously. But she was not handling it well. And it was all men's fault that she couldn't find a guy to marry her at 28 years old. Now, of course, she did later on that year with the baseball player guy that she's with right now. But she was just losing it. And so I went and I just broke it down, like just issue by issue by issue. And that was actually the first time Dr. Phil actually called me to see if I would go on the show. They wanted to pit me against her. And I'm like, I'll do it for some money. They didn't want to pay for shit. I had to pay. They wanted me to pay for my own airfare to go down there. Yeah, I was like, I'm good, man. Thanks. Because they just wanted blood sport. And then when they wanted me the second time, I said yes. But they did at least pay for my flight and my stay, my hotel stay, which is more than I could say for fucking Valuetainment. Anyways, let's let her.
Well, why not? Why should men not have to expect anything, but women get to expect that a man is a provider, that a man is a protector? These are expectations that you're setting on men. You're saying, I want a masculine man. I want him to fulfill these roles. Okay, then let's be fair. And let's say, well, then what can a man expect of you? And she's saying, well, nothing. What do you mean?
Yep. Yeah. Shit. And the part that Jed doesn't talk about here, and probably just an oversight, I don't think she just ignored it. The part is that it's not even an afterthought to women like Tomi Lahren. Well, you get this pussy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You get pussy. Okay, well, but I'm not supposed to sexually objectifize you, right? You like in her other screed video, she was all upset that like older guys who she wanted to marry, we're all interested in the quote unquote Thotianas, right? The thoughts, right? Younger thoughts, younger, better, ratchet girls than she was. She's ratchet. So Tomi Lahren is ratchet. I don't think people really realize she's just ratchet in a different way. But the thing that gets me is she's completely oblivious to it. Well, of course there's nothing for you. Don't you know that? Like, it's supposed to be self-evident. Of course there's nothing for you. That's the second set of fucking rules. You have Andrew Wilson saying, well, like asking the questions, like, hey, what's in it for us? Because it used to be that was settled under the old set of rules in the 20th century and the 20th century solutions to the 21st century problems. In the 20th century, that was what he said. They knew what they were getting. I'm getting a chick who's going to be a mother to my kids. She's going to be nurturing. She's going to be loving. She's going to be insightful. She's going to take care of the home, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you could run down a laundry list of things that was worthwhile, right? Now you don't get that. Now it's not even like, I can't, like, women like Tomi Lahren are offended that you would expect that. Like there would be anything And that's why she's like at a loss to even say what could possibly be, to balance that equation, other than pussy, because that's the only thing I can presume she's saying is worthwhile. Okay, well, you better be the best fucking lay I've ever had, because I can go pay for that too. Right? I mean, it is Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say that if that's all there is, again, I said it's not even an afterthought to Tommy Lahren, because she's operating from a different set of rules than whether he knows it or not, than Andrew Wilson is. So what are you going to do about it? That's my next question. My next question is like, what are you going to do about the old set of rules versus the new set of rules? And I think guys do themselves a disservice when they cling to that old set of rules. You're going to set yourself on fire. I mean, ultimately, because you want the old set of rules to work, and you want those to be a solution to 21st century problems. I'm not saying Tommy Lahren or women like her are in any way worth your time, but by order of degree, women are using a different set of rules. So you're going to have to modify either your expectations or have to modify your techniques or your tactics, or you're going to have to fucking find some way to accept the reality that people are not playing by the same set of rules. And you like most guys think that they can force that chick to play by the old set of rules. No, they don't have to. They don't have to do that anymore. And they're not going to do it. In fact, it's not even an afterthought for them to think of trying to go back in time unless they're destitute. I saw this, what was it? Oh, it was on Twitter. Somebody threw this out there. It was this woman who was making bread or something like that. This modern chick who's making bread, or she's making food in a bowl of some sorts. And it said, let me see if I can find it. It was actually a pretty good one. And it wasn't too long ago. Let's see if I can find this for you guys. Here it is. Okay. So in fact, I'll show it to you. This is too good not to show you. My screen. Here we go. All right, here it is. Got it. Shout out to all the ladies out there who went and got a 4-year degree, tried the boss babe life, and realized all they wanted was to stay at home, grow a garden, and cook from scratch because same, right? This is the most pretentious bullshit I've ever seen, right? Because really what it is it's a repudiation of the new set of rules for this fantasized, idealized, idyllic, kind of fucking pastoral lifestyle. We're going to live on a ranch and I'm going to churn butter and I'm going to be, live in the Amish Dutch country of Pennsylvania. No, you're not. And the other thing is that the most ironic thing, and of course I posted this, was like, shout out to all the women who are, what did I say? Shout out to all the women who are now $120,000 in school debt, trying to find a guy rich enough to help them repay it after they realized all of this. I'm sure that's not going to go. That's not going to fly very well. Gosh, I got 20,000 views on that. There's my Elon bucks for the week.
I mean, my girl gave me insight on it because at least girls talking about it, not hoeing around during your early age and sticking to a guy, picking your horse, right? Mm-hmm. Doing that thing. They're just called pick-me's and disregarded from like all the women's spaces. And it's just the dudes following.
Yeah.
And the occasional girl.
Yeah. Well, and then the problem is now that you realize this and you're $20,000 or $120,000 in debt, which is average, by the way, to get your 4-year degree, to be a boss babe and do all this stuff. And then to realize that that's really what you wanted. You got to remember, to get out of that and to achieve that lifestyle, you got to find a dude who has the money to do so and to help you repay that debt, because you're starting at a deficit. And I'm going to go full Aaron Clary on you right now. But again, that's old set of rules versus new set of rules. New set of rules, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to incur a lot of student debt. I'm going to be a boss bitch. And I'm going to find out that this life really isn't for me. I want to play by the old set of rules. And I'll tell you, the thing that gets me is guys are going to buy this. They're going to suck it down and eat it up like fucking Oreo cookies, man. Oh yeah, she's really like that. You want to know why Nala Fit got the benefit of the doubt from Michael Knowles? Because of exactly that dynamic. Why did what's her name, Eva Lovia? Why do these like aging porn stars who want to get out of the business, we go, oh yes, finally she's found Jesus? No, she hasn't. She realizes she can't be in that business anymore. She realizes she wants to change this. Now she wants to be a podcaster. Now she wants to be whatever it is. Oh, but she's getting out. We should applaud her for that. Okay, fine. But the thing is she wants to go from the new set of rules back to the old set of rules. Well, that we should be happy about that. Yeah, we should, but we shouldn't have to bear the fucking responsibility for bailing her ass out of it. So until she's out there talking about like, oh, we need to warn women for, to be more wholesome and whatever else, which is never going to happen because no woman is going to listen to that, especially when they see the kind of money they can make off of being unwholesome, right? Off of being on Instagram, off of showing their ass on Instagram. Even the most marginal, most like, even the most, lightweight form of sexualizing yourself is still going to be seen as some sort of deviance. Where's this thing? Okay, what do you got? She is ranting currently about how Trump wants to this is you and your leftist girlfriend, wants to shut down the Department of Education. Okay, I've tried to expose her side to my side, but she is staying the same. But she is staying the same. Okay, well, you have two choices. You can eject, which now I suggest you do. Or you can, here's the thing. Would you rather be happy or would you rather be right?
Yeah.
Does she have is that pussy worth all this? Can you not get other pussy?
Richie.
Can you not get other pussy? Met a 24-year-old hottie who is super into me. She has experience dating couples. Wait a minute.
All right.
Thoughts on taking it long term? Don't. Is my alpha imprint really all that matters? Yes. If so, I have a hard time accepting it. Then don't. Like if you're a good looking dude, if you're good looking enough and you're on top of your game enough to get a 24-year-old hottie who's super into you, but also has experience dating couples, does that mean she still wants to? Or does that mean she just had experience dating couples and now she's just with you? I need to know. I need clarification. Give me another $9.99 super chat. I'll read it immediately. No, it's you got to be clear on this, because is she still into doing couples, and does she want you to do couples with her? Because if that's the case, I think you know what my answer is going to be. So, part of a feminist worldview is provision and protection becomes an entitlement or incentive with nothing in return. Yes. Well, again, old set of rules versus new set of rules. There's expectations of provisioning and protection that come from the old rule book. But the new rule book says I can do whatever I want, and you should not. And if you have a problem with that, you're an insecure man. You're insecure in your masculinity. You'll notice that's like that shame is always the go-to. You're insecure in your masculinity. They always kick you in the dick. Women will always, if they want to shame you, the first place they start is kicking you in the balls. That's what they do. And I mean that figuratively and literally. They want to kick you in the balls. We were just saying a minute ago, why do women want to shame men for getting, even if they talk them into it, for getting a vasectomy? Or why do they celebrate it? I should say that. Because she doesn't want your shitty genetics, and she doesn't want her sisters to have them either.
Emasculate them.
She wants to emasculate you. That's the ultimate form of emasculation is sterilizing yourself. Now, I know I said that you should go and get a vasectomy in your 20s. That was out of protection. And trust me, if there was a technique where you could turn your fertility on and off, I would have said that. But that's not how things work here. But the thing is the emasculating a guy is the ultimate form of calling you a beta or taking you out. If a woman can take you out of the sexual marketplace so that her sisters don't have to, the sisterhood uberalis doesn't have to suffer your shitty genetics, they will do so. And they will be gleeful about it. They will have parties about it. They will have an international vasectomy day There probably is one. We should probably look at. There probably is an international Get your vasectomy out. You get half off today. Or, for instance, when we start talking about like women and abortion or something like that, the first thing they'll say, you should just keep your dick in your pants. Well, that's after the fact. You already have the baby. The baby's already growing inside you. Women are the only ones who can decide whether a baby lives or dies. It's not the guy. But they want to pass it back to the guy and make it his responsibility. Well, that's post facto rationalization right there. It's already happened. What are you going to do? The damage is done. The baby's the bun's in the oven. What are you going to do? That's on you. Women will be the first ones to tell you, my body, my choice. No, women have men have no say in that decision. What are you going to do? Then it's all on women. What's their go-to reaction? Kick them in the dick. You should have kept your dick in your pants. That's the rationale. Same thing with vasectomy. Same thing with like I don't know if you guys remember this. There was this chick that was going around like New York subways, and she was pouring. People said it was bleach, but I don't know if it was necessarily bleach. But people said she was pouring bleach on the pants of guys who were manspreading on the subway, and just pouring it on his dick, not his pants, not on his shirt, not on anywhere else, on his crotch. Why? Why not? Why not just pour it on his knees? Why not just throw it on his shoes? Why not throw it in his face like a fucking martini or some shit like that? Why? Because they want to emasculate, they want to geld you, they want to take your dick away. That's the first place they will go. Big dick energy or little dick energy? That's little dick energy. Why? What defines that? It all comes down to dicks for women. When they want to find a way to combat guys, they understand that. As I said before, like women's only agency is their sexual agency, but their only attack form for guys is to kick you in the balls, because they know that, like, even like I said, literally, if a girl kicks you in the balls, you're going to double up in pain. And that's the most painful part for you to go. Size doesn't matter. No, size fucking matters, right? They'll tell you that, like they'll tell you that publicly. Privately, when you listen to them amongst their girlfriend, I had to leave him. Why? Right. I need to do a show about that sometime. That'll be a rough show. That'll be a rough show. Explain to you why big dicks matter to, like, big dick energy, right? Or, for instance, if you have a big like truck that's lifted and raised, he's compensating for something. What is he compensating for? That's really what it means. They attack the dick. That's the only attack form women have, because they know they can't. They know they can't fight. They know they can't. They're not going to take you down. A guy, even an average guy with no training, and he's got like 60, 80 pounds on you. Kick him in the dick. Right? That's your only form of defense. So, yes. This is how you play by the new set of rules. You do not accept responsibility without corresponding level of authority. Yeah, that's kind of tough to do. And I agree with you, Thomas. I 100% agree with you. Insisting on authority. The only way that men can get authority these days is wealth. Now, you should not lead with wealth. Wealth is a force multiplier, but it is not what makes you ultimately arousing or attractive. It is a force multiplier. Women say, women will not want to get with a guy who is, quote unquote, economically unattractive, which means that he's got to make at least half again what she makes. So if she makes 100,000, he's got to make 150,000. And the reason for that is because I think on some level of consciousness, women realize that resources and affluence and status all are intimately connected with a man's wealth. Wealth enforces will. Whoever's making the most amount of money gets to set the rules, make the rules in the fucking relationship. Even if women are making if a woman's making like $90,000 and you're making $200,000, she's still going to want to make some rules for herself, but not so many rules as the guy who has 200. Now, if you're like me and my wife is not working at all, and I'm the sole breadwinner who facilitates her life, then that's wealth enforces will. What daddy says goes. So if you want authority in a relationship, you better be making a shit ton of money. because that's really the only force multiplier. That's the only form of authority that men have these days. As I said before, men have more maneuverability and freedom and have more opportunities outside of marriage than they do inside of marriage. It's a reversal of the coverture laws from back in like the 1800s.
Now, is that a baseline on at least having that security, or would it be your reputation? Because not including status, well, I mean actions. Because it's like we're building rapport with that person.
Yeah, I think in the initial phases, like when you're going through the arousal phase, like women don't care about money when it's like, I just want to fuck this guy. When it's validational sex rather than transactional. And yes, validational sex turns into transactional sex once you get into a relationship. But prior to the relationship, that's where the difference between validational sex and transactional sex happens. If a guy is paying for pussy, that's transactional sex. Okay. If a woman says, I really want to fuck this guy, and the only thing he can do is fuck it up. All he has to do is just be hot and just be available for me. Women will want, that's validational sex. They want it. That's the kind of sex she wants to have. The guy is Chad, right? He is that. It's like he's at the top of the heap. He's at number 10, right? And those are the guys who are getting laid in spite of themselves. Those are the guys who can go and put a picture on Hinge or Bumble or Tinder, and anything they do, they can be convicted felons. Yeah, they can take a shower every week, once a week, right? All this stuff. But I need a guy with hygiene, unless he looks like that. Then he can do whatever the fuck he wants with me, right? I think but that's like prior to an established relationship. I'm talking about once you're in a marriage or you're in a long-term relationship. That's when wealth and status come into play. Now, Mike Sartain will say, well, status is what gets you laid. And he's not wrong about that. But it's not I don't think it's the only thing. I think if a guy, I emphasize looks probably a lot more than Mike does. Although Mike doesn't discount them. I think he places status, and he places, like social proof and pre-selection above all that. Well, pre-selection can come from looks. Looks are their own form of status. So if you walk into a room and you're and you look like Alan Richson, and and everybody else looks like Seth Rogen, that's status, because you're the best looking, most built, tallest motherfucker in the room. Ergo, you have a default implied status. People can see it right there. Right? Or if you have fame. Fame is a force multiplier in the same way, in that, like, if people know that you are Johnny Depp, or people know that you are, I don't know, name a hot actor right now. If they know you're Alan Richland, if they know that you are, if you have some sort of fame or implied fame, then that's a force multiplier. And you're probably going to get laid just as a result of, hey, I fucked Alan Richland. There's your clip. I think the problem that most guys do is they'll get into a relation, like a marriage or a long-term relationship, and then they think that everything should be equal, right? Even if they make more money, they still adopt this idea of an egalitarian equalism in the thing, and the woman is you confuse women that way. Because you think that, oh, well, we're going to play even though I make $200,000 a year and she makes $80,000 a year, but we're still the same. Remember, like Myron always says, is like, women want a guy taller than them, more muscular than them, makes more money than them. Yeah. It's just basically is more than they are, but still considers himself an equal. And the problem with that is that is probably the most unattractive thing to a woman that there is, because once you get into that relationship, and you don't like, if a guy who doesn't realize his own personal value, that guy's a mark. And if you're going to live with that guy who still thinks that way, he still has a beta mentality. And even though he could lay down the law, he has enough money and enough influence and enough power outside the marriage, or maybe inside the marriage, but he still is unwilling to step into that the dominant role of being a leader, being a husband, being the man, right? He still won't do that. That's still very, very unattractive. I would say it's even more unattractive because he could.
Yeah.
He could be that guy. Like I've said before, is like women don't want a man to cheat, but they love a man who could cheat.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of guy who could cheat, but you're like, no, baby, I would never fuck around on you. I would never do anything. Don't worry. Oh, I wasn't looking at the waitress. Don't worry about, and you're apologizing for your sex appeal to other people. That's very unattractive to women because they're like, well, doesn't he realize that other chicks want to fuck this guy? Like, why am I with you?
So if we take the money away,
Mm-hmm.
a money aspect, at least that security, that bonus to the man,
Mm-hmm.
then would it just count on how you met her, how you build that rapport? It's your actions in the beginning that's going to lead that relationship downward.
The frame into which you enter into a relationship is the one that usually sets the tone for that relationship.
Yeah.
So even if you have even if you're like, even if you don't have money, when I can name, a lot of different experiences. Me personally have had, but like also guys that I know who are just like good looking dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember, I'll give you an example. The chick that I knew, remember I tell the story about how the single mom that I didn't know was a single mom.
Yeah.
And like I looked at the condo to see how long the condo was, and I knew she was lying to me because she was a single mom. She didn't want me to find out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That same chick, she was originally the manager of a band that I was in at the time, right? And she had a lot of money. She actually gave me a car because she didn't want to have to come and get me all the time. Like I had a motorcycle, and she was like worried I was going to get wrecked or something like that. And so she literally gave me a car. She took it back after we broke up, but she literally gave me a car. I mean, and why? Because I was laying down dick. Like I was actually, I was in a position where first time in my life, I was like a boy toy, right? And she loved it. She loved showing me off. She loved going out places with me. And like, there was no way, like she worked in the record industry, right? And there was no way I was going to be able to compete with her, have more money than she was, not at 22, 23 years old, right? And so, but we still stayed together for like over 8 months. And it was primarily sexual, but I didn't have to have status. I didn't have to have, I had pre-selection because there was other chicks that wanted to fuck me, but I didn't have the money. I certainly didn't have. I lived in a 1-bedroom studio apartment in North Hollywood, and my dining room table was one of them big ass spools. Like they wrap like big old, like road cable around and shit like that. That was my dining room table, and I had a mini fridge, right? And my liquid assets was a Randall half stack and a couple of guitars, right? And my truck, that was it, right? Or my motorcycle at that time. And so I didn't have to have any kind of money or any kind of affluence to get laid, but I wasn't going to marry her. And she knew I wasn't going to marry her. She was much older than I was too. So there was never going to be anything other than a short-term relationship. I'm surprised it lasts 8 months, right? But she enjoyed it well enough that was, and people think I'm not, Rollo's humble bragging. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, this was an experience and I've dealt with other guys who have been like, snowboarders, right? Up in like Tahoe. And they were like, during the ski season, they were, lifties, they were, lift techs, they would send you up and down the mountain kind of thing. And they would live in the dormitories on the slopes because you can't they don't want you to leave, right? Because it's hard to get in and out. And then they had girlfriends who would like work at my wife's hospital, right? And the girls that they were dating, there was no way they could compete with them financially, but they were getting laid like fucking tile, man. So it's not always about money is not the factor so much. Status doesn't even necessarily have to be the factor. It just sort of depends on the conditions, the context that woman is in. So if you have a hot girl who's making a lot of money and she gets with a guy, she can now, sort of pamper him, right? Mm-hmm. She can go like, did you ever see Motley Crue, The Dirt?
Yeah, the Dirt movie.
The Dirt movie. Okay, so remember the blonde chick that bought Vince Neil those leather pants, right? Yeah. Dude, I could tell you so many fucking stories about exactly that shit, right? What do they call a snowboarder without a girlfriend? Homeless. Yeah. But there's so many instances of that and so many different contexts of that. So it's not all like getting laid is a whole lot different than like being in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So that's you kind of have to make those distinctions. This is how you play by the new set of rules. Okay. Thank you. And my brother's girlfriend has a high level of FOMO, fear of missing out. especially for traveling. They've been asked about the future. He said, kids, while she said, no, I want to travel. Thoughts. She's not ready to settle down. And if he wants to stick it out with her, then she's travel is in your future. Wait. I see travel in your future. Yes. Does he want kids? That's funny because it's usually the chick that wants kids. Oh, should he eject? Not necessarily. Why does everybody think like I'm going to tell you to throw the baby out with the bath? I don't know. Do you want to travel? Go for it. I'm 34, in shape. Women tell me I look great. Awesome.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to continue dating couples. Only me. Okay, good. Oh, this is the dude with the couples. She considers bringing girls for my pleasure now and then. Just bothers me she has the experience already. Why? Why does that bother you? Like, would it bother you if she was like, would it bother you if she was like this completely virginic, pure woman from the Amish Dutch country? And she's like, I've never been with a man before. I think I want you to be my first, but I want to bring more I want to bring 4 chicks into the bed with us too at the same time. I'm a virgin. I've never fucked anybody else, but I kind of been curious about having sex with women too. So with that, that's okay. Yeah. I think people, I got into it with, I forget who was talking. One of these trad femme women talking about body count. And of course that's always a hot topic. I got into it, by the way, with, not into it, but I got, the topic came up with, Jedediah Bila about body count again. And I told Jed this. I said, you know what? Body count is what people like go to when they don't know what else to fucking do anymore. Because it always plays. If Brian from whatever podcast doesn't know what to talk about, ladies, what's your body count? I think we'll go there now. No, it's get used to it. Get used to it. No, Rolo, I think we should hold out for our pure virginic woman. Oh, it was about purity. That's what it was. I hate that term. I fucking hate when people bring up purity. Women sell purity. No, they're not. There's no fucking pure women. Who the fuck are you talking about? There is none. I mean, maybe in Islam. I don't know. But not in Western cultures, not in weird cultures. Western, industrialized, educated, rich, and democratic cultures. Weird cultures. No. You will not find that chick. You can find a low body count. You won't find a no body count. Okay. And if you do, more power to you. Honestly, and I'm going to say this here because I already said this on Twitter. If somebody's talking to you about purity, that's a cope. Purity is a cope. It's a cope for guys going, well, all these girls are not worth anything, Rolo. Why? Well, because they're all ran through. They all have high body counts. I want a pure woman. That's fucking cope. You're not going to, okay, let's just say this. If I could tell you with 100% assurity that you are never going to find a chick who doesn't have at least four guys in her past. You will never, ever do that in your lifetime. You will never find a woman who has not had at least four women. What are you going to do? I'm going to give up. I need a girl. I'm saving myself. No, you're not. You're jerking off the fucking Pornhub. Are you jerking off the Pornhub? If you're jerking off the Pornhub and you want some pure woman, the problem is with you. It's ludicrous. Well, I can't expect that. No, you can't expect that. If you get it, great. But don't fucking expect it. Work within the fucking system. For fuck's sake, man. Don't wish it were easier. Wish it were better. Play the game fucking better. Maybe you can find a low body count chick. Oh, Rolo's telling us to get with the highest body count girl. No, I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that either. Like, I think a lot of people like listen to what I have to say. Like they'll hear me on Access Vegas and they'll go, I can't believe this is Rolo. He's supposed to be for no body count. No, I'm not. Nobody asked me this. Nobody asked me this question. I give you the information. I said, but I did this. What, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And you know what it was? It was in response to what's her name? Afualo. What's her name? Yeah. something off of Wallow. This girl, that girl that I got that sound from, Drew off of Wallow. She was talking about like how hypocritical everybody was about body counts and stuff like that. And so me and Myron actually put together this really great I think it was probably one of the best fucking shows he and I have ever done, because it was just me and him doing it too. I think Fresh was in it for a little while and he had to take off. But me and Myron did this one show about body count, and we were looking at all the stats that I could dig up. I could probably dig up more now that I've got Perplexity and some other resources, but at that time, it was as up to date as I could possibly put it together. And people kept saying, "Well, Rollo, what's the best number of if we've got to find a girl who has body count? What's the best number? What's the threshold between divorce and staying together?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends on the individuals too. What about the guy? What about the girl? I'm trying to explain this, but no, they want this this bonehead literalist answer about like, okay, what's the cutoff point? Well, we came to the conclusion that it was 6. Okay, so 0 is ideal, but you're not going to find 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 was right about where things started falling. That's when the maximum amount of partners that a woman could have before you run into statistical problems. And this is all statistics. It's not based on an individual or anything like that. And I kept telling him, and I still say this today, it's not a numbers game. It's an alpha impact game. What's the impact of that guy? What's the impact? Like, again, would you rather be with a single mom who only has one baby daddy? Or would you rather be with a woman who has 10, 15 guys in her past, but she has no babies, no
scared of playing in the major leagues?
Yeah. What would you rather have? Would you rather marry let's say marry, we could pair off, pair bond, marriage, whatever it is. I'm not into marriage. Okay. Would you rather marry a woman who has one partner but has a baby from that partner, and you would be a stepdad? Or would you rather marry a woman who has 10, 12 partners in her past but has no babies, and you're the most alpha impact that she's ever had? See, it's not about the numbers. It's about, are you more alpha than any of those other guys? And do you want that responsibility? Do you want to, well, she's never had anybody but this one guy, and now I'm going to be a stepdad. I'm going to be the dad who stepped up, right? Like those are some very real situations, and nobody really wants to answer those questions because purity is a fucking cope. You're not going to find a pure chick, and by pure, and I even hate that term because it has like these religious connotations that go along with it as well. When people ask me like, Rollo, do you think body count matters? Yeah, I do. Statistically, I think it does. Does it matter about like, sexually transmitted disease? Yes. Does it have anything to do with a woman's ability to pair bond? Well, if you mean like marital contentment or satisfaction, because there are no stats, by the way, for pair bonding. Stop saying that shit. Nobody uses pair bonding in their stats. It's marital satisfaction. If that's pair bonding to you, so be it. Divorce. Are you more likely to get divorced? Yeah, of course you are. With more pair because you're doing the pair bonding thing is harder to do, right? Is it? I forget what the other one was. I think it was like marital happiness or marital satisfaction, whatever it was. Yeah, I've got. I think it's 4 individual stats for that, and people take that and they run with that. But what they don't know is that the instances of that are very, very low. Percentage wise, it's very, very low. So just because you had 6 partners or you had 10 partners does not necessarily mean that you can't, that woman is never going to be able to pair bond with you. I'm just pointing out the facts. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not saying you should do this or you should do that. There's no shoulds. There's no oughts. There's only what is. And that's what I did with Myron back in the day. I think it was 2022. So when people ask me, Rollo, what do you think? Give me your personal opinion about body count. I don't care. I'm at a fucking age right now. Are you down to fuck? Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll. Do I look like the guy who's going to like agonize?
All right.
Do I look like I'm going to agonize over that? No. And I'll tell you this, the older you get, the less it makes any fucking difference whatsoever. If I asked Jim Kilgore, or if I asked fucking Joe Marin, or if I asked these guys, hey, would you turn a chick down if she said she had like, because they're in their 50s, right? Would you turn a chick down if she said she had like, I don't know, 20 in her past? Not one of them would say no. Dude. And then I think the other thing is like when what was it? What's it? Farah, when Farah, who is one of Destiny's chicks, when she went on that one, she was relating to Destiny on one of those shows, talking about how she was on this really long ass date with a guy who was quote unquote conservative. She was really kind of falling in love with this guy. She really liked him a lot, and she wanted to be straight up with him to let him know that she had an OnlyFans account after he had said something to the effect of like he really disliked women who were on OnlyFans because he was like very conservative, and she just wanted to like be straightforward with him and everything else. And so as things progressed on the date, she eventually like came clean and said, "Look, I have an OnlyFans, yada yada yada." And then he's like, "Well, let me see it." So she starts checking it out, and he's like, "Yeah, I guess this is okay." And they're like, yeah, so all of that moralistic bullshit about like body count and purity and OnlyFans and, coming off as being sexually available, all that flies out the fucking window if the chick is hot enough and the guy wants to get laid. Seriously. So don't give me this horseshit about purity. I'm not saying you shouldn't strive for the best. I'm not saying you shouldn't, if you find a chick who has zero body count, vaya con Dios, man, go have at it. But like, be realistic. Like when people give, like when I have to, I don't say debate, but when I'm like having conversations with like born again Christians, right? When I'm talking to evangelicals or even Orthodox Christians or whatever, like, shouldn't we want to have virgin brides? Yeah, you should want. You're not going to get, And it's not that that's not a should proposition. That's an is proposition. So finding that you should strive for the best, absolutely, but just like work within the system. Should elite high value chads avoid marriage and rely on validational love? They should avoid marriage, at least for the time being. I don't know how long, depends on the guy, right? Is marriage just for beta providers who only bring money to the table? No. Especially if you consider that women, when it comes to marriage, only elite men are eligible for marriage. When you think about it, especially like when we were just talking about OnlyFans and everything, we're talking about like women today make more money than guys. Young women, especially in Generation Z and like the latter half of the millennials, women make more money on average, make more money than guys, or they're more out there, on their game. And it's easier. It's never been easier for women to sell their sexuality. So if you got a woman who's like on OnlyFans, you got a woman who's an influencer brand, or she's like selling her ass on Instagram. Like I think it was it Mike mentioned this last time we were on Access Vegas. Mike and I both know a lot of women on and we've had them on the show, and some of them not, but we know women who are models. They've been cover models for FHM, Maxim. Some have been in Playboy. Some have been in Penthouse. Not doing hardcore porn. They're just showing what God gave them, right? And have sworn up and down they will never do OnlyFans. Every single one of them is doing OnlyFans now. In the past, they said, I'll never do OnlyFans. They're doing OnlyFans. They might not be doing full penetration. They might not be doing boy and girl or girl or whatever. They're not doing any kind of like actual sex. They're still have OnlyFans, and they're showing off their ass, and they're showing off whatever, and they're still making money off of it. And they still will make way more money than the average guy. So when we talk about like how average women don't want to get with average men, it's because average men can't, like on average, can't possibly compete with the kind of money and the kind of resource generation that women are capable of. I'm not saying all of them do it, but they're capable of it. And so when a woman meets a guy who is her equal, literally her equal, like makes the same amount of money, assortative mating, right? Looks like her, same, he's a 7, she's a 7, somewhere in there. And there's like at complete parity. Women don't want that. A guy still has to have value added. If there's complete parity of perceived value, the guy still has to be just a little bit more. He's got to have talent. He's got to play guitar. He's got to have artistic talent. He's got to have something that she wants to pass on to her babies. He has to come from a good family. They have to be the same religion. There has to be some sort of like something that just pushes him slightly up over the top, right? Because that's what women want. And the problem is they're having more and more difficulty finding that. So should high value chads avoid marriage and rely on validational love? It's not validational love. It's validational sex. Love and sex are two different things, my friend. It's validational sex, transactional sex and validational sex. Okay? A woman can fall in love with you for a lot of different reasons. But I think a lot of guys, and I've tried to mention this in my intro videos, is that a lot of guys get hurt. They get butt hurt over this because they're still playing by the old set of rules. They're still playing by this set of rules that lets them believe, or they still cling to this belief that love is based on idealism. Men love idealistically. Women love opportunistically. And I'm using opportunistically in as neutral a fashion as I possibly can. I know there's negative connotations to that. I'm just saying in as diplomatic a way as I can put this. Men love idealistically, women love opportunistically, meaning that women do not marry a man, they marry a lifestyle. They might fall in love with that man later. They might have a better relationship and a more of an emotional investment, but that guy still has to have a certain set of prerequisites and criteria on which after which she's going to allow herself to have an emotional connection with that guy. So when you have, and then for men get really upset about this too, is when it's reduced to dollars and cents after they've been told that love should matter just for the sake of love. They get really upset. They say, well, women aren't capable of love, Rollo. And I'm saying, well, they are, but they're not within your parameters, your definition of what that is. So if you read, I think it's Iron Rule of Tomasi number 6, women are incapable of loving a man and that people will stop there. They'll go, oh, Rollo said that women can't love men. No, you didn't read the whole fucking thing. Women are fundamentally incapable of loving a man in the way that man thinks that she should be able to love him. Because there's way more, men and women are different. Women find more things attractive have to find more things about a man that it's attractive than men do. Men, she could be a sandwich artist at Subway. If she's got big tits and she's got a fucking juicy ass, whatever, I'm not into that, but she's got all the things you want. She's sexually available.
No unconditional
and
love.
she is a ride or die chick, and she wants to fuck you right there in the Subway sandwich floor, right in the fucking jalapenos. Yeah, that's all that matters, man. She doesn't have to have a degree. She doesn't have to be more smart than he is. She doesn't have to be better educated. She doesn't have to have her own business. She doesn't have to make half again what he makes. She doesn't have to have all those prerequisites and all that criteria that men have. Men are like, yeah, she's hot. I love her. She loves me, right? And that's all that should matter. But if a woman says, well, I can't marry a guy unless he comes from a good family, he likes puppy dogs, he wants children in the future, comes from his mom, he loves his mom, all this bullshit that Tommy Lahiren's throwing out there, right? He's got to have a really high paying job, like half again or more than what I'm making to be economically attractive. He has to be intelligent, more smart than I am. He has to be built like Alan Richson. He has to have and then just the laundry list.
So boss babe is just cope.
Boss babe is cope. Alpha female is not a thing. You're an alpha male with tits and pussy. That's what you are. That is. Because women base their concept of alpha on a male paradigm. That's why. A female alpha looks like Kylie Myers. A female alpha looks like the hottest chick, the hottest piece of ass that you can possibly dream of in FHM or whatever. That's an alpha female, not fucking Elizabeth, whatever her name is. Who's a chick from the CEO from Facebook? Sheryl Sandberg. Sheryl Sandberg is not an alpha female. Oh, but she ran a company big. No. The alpha female is the hottest piece of ass you've ever seen. It's Salma Hayek in Dust to Dawn.
Dust Till Dawn.
trying to think. But she has criteria. You have to there's this concept that I don't think I have ever discussed. I'll get to it in a second. Let me get these real quick. Why is no one changing the marriage laws in the red pill and just bitching like Richard Cooper? They've had 60 years to do it. He ignores, no action. Yeah, because, well, I'm not going to talk shit about Rich. No comment. But I will say why. I will tell you why MGTOW have not made any progress is because there's more money in bitching about it than there is in actually doing solutions, because nobody really knows where to start with this. Because most practices, if you look at MGTOW, that's a practice. It's best practices. Men going their own way. I'm going to walk away and be stoic and look like Zeus in a Greek statue. That woman crying over there with her head like this. I'm just going to walk away. Right? I know that fantasy makes you feel good, but it's horseshit. I'm stoic. No, you're not. Because if you're stoic, you would be coming up with solutions and thinking about things a whole lot better. But stoicism, by the way, it becomes very, very popular when people need a cope. Stoicism is it can be. I'm not saying it always is, but it can be a cope, and especially in modern times. Right now, stoicism is a cope. You mean I don't have to do anything? I just have to focus on myself. Yeah, I'll be a stoic. But no, the reason why is because it's top down, not bottom up. What does that mean? That means I'm a grassroots guy. I'm a each one tell one. Each guy tell another guy. Bottom up, from the bottom upwards. The problem with MGTOW is that it has always been top down, which is we're going to change the world and then every guy will be good, right? Same thing with the war room. Same thing with the Tates, with the big cell. Wasn't each one tell one. It's we're going to change this and we're going to do that. And you're going to make a shit ton of money and then you're going to change the world. Top down. One of the reasons I got behind Mike Sartain's Men of Action is because Mike is bottom up. He talks about, he goes by the individual level. Each guy, improve each guy and let them go on and improve other guys. Only fucking way to do it. Because I'll tell you right now, you will run into such a roadblock and such resistance doing top down. It's you're always going to. MGTOW have not done anything. MRAs have not done anything. Black pill, not done anything. They would rather complain and rather bitch about it than actually do something about it. But even when they do something about it, it's always top down and not bottom up. So what do? They form forums and communities to commiserate. And that's all it is. Makes them feel good to bitch about it and then go back to work and go and feel oppressed and repressed or whatever it is. Or you can go blame it on the Jews or blame it on somebody outside of yourself instead of actually dealing with the problem, right? I love this, man. Everybody, we need to talk about the JQ. No, we don't. You guys have been talking about that for ages. You want to impress me? Tell me what you're going to do about it. You won't do shit. You will never bring that topic up because you get banned from YouTube if you start talking about what's your final solution. Because those guys in Germany back in the 1930s, they had a solution. You have none. Tell me what you want to do. What are you going to do about it? We need to talk about the question. No, we don't. The question's been beaten to death. What are you going to do about it? Tell me what your plans are. What's your final solution? Yeah, nobody says jack shit about that because they know that once they start mouthing it, get that guy out of here. Yeah. No, it's there. Yeah, there's, I don't know if it's necessarily ignoring it so much as that's what the profit model is based on. It's the same, like I said, it's the same thing with the JQ. Like people you'll make more money talking about the JQ than you will about the final solution. So I heard Rollo's a Jew. I am not Jewish. God. I can't even believe that got spread so quick. Jesus Christ. I'm a Viking, dude. I'm from fucking Denmark, for crying out loud. I thought he was Italian. God, just kill me. Just kill me, please. Isn't attaching stigma to body count a necessary evil in order or in rule-based social order? Yeah, but that rule-based social order went flying out the window probably 1970, right after the sexual revolution. Now, again, you cannot solve 21st century problems with 20th century solutions. Oh, we need to shame them into you Jezebel, get thee from my begone thought. No. You know, the best thing you can do is look for the lowest body count you can, if that's what you want to do. Again, that's not an ought. That's just me spitballing there. If that's where you're at. Most guys are like these asocial, schizoid paranoids when it comes to this shit. Like the problem I have with the purity thing is not only that it's cope, it's also like virtue signaling. Like, I would never get with a woman who had a body count like that. You're going to be stroking your dick for the rest of your life, because you're never going to, like, especially you're never going to find that. You're not going to find that chick. There's no chick that's waiting, you know, in some grassy field of daffodils waiting for a guy like you. There's no, like I said, I always use the Dutch country, right? There's no Amish girl sitting in the back of some like wheeled cart being drawn by horses waiting for a guy that is this schizoid, asocial trad cell. They're not there. Deal with it. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Play the game fucking better. Like, this is not rocket science, man. Like the stream for the algorithm. Rip shadow ban. God, I wish it worked that way, dude. I really, if that worked that way, I would get all you guys to do that. You know, the best thing you can do? Write your congressman and tell them to support whatever the FTC is coming up with to kill off these NGOs. It's time to ditch NGOs, period. If there is no boogeyman, no one gets paid. Hey, Godfather, take me out with a how dare you? Oh, how dare you?
How dare you?
There you go. blowmeuptom.com. Wouldn't mass education about scientific differences between men and women be needed first before you can change marriage laws? Highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely that you would ever have any of that, but yeah. The problem is even if you could get mass education about scientific differences, people still wouldn't believe. They still, I don't think this is right. They would look at it like teaching, like Christians look at teaching evolution in schools. Like, they just wouldn't believe it, or they wouldn't care. They're like the people who you're trying to educate on those sex differences. They're too busy. What's Becky doing today? That's what you're not going to get them undistracted. It's this distraction factor too. All right. Let's see. Where do we go here? Sammy. What are you doing, Sammy? Just got a thing from Samuel. There we go. All right, there we go. Let's see. I love this. Shall we go into this real quick? We're past the 3-hour mark, so I don't want to go too much longer. I was going to go over the 16 commandments of Poon today. I was going to do that. Would you like to? Let's just go through these really quickly. I'll just, like, if you guys want me to stop on one of these, I will. Because we were talking about the new rules, and these are kind of like what I would, like when people talk about, like, well, what's the new rules, Rollo? How do I, understand these? These are kind of like the new rules. God, here we go. But Rollo, there is a male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, or so I'm told. Yeah, you know what's funny about the male loneliness epidemic is, like, they will say, like, 15% of all men don't have any close personal friends. I'm like, yeah, that means 85% of them do, man. That's like,
they're silent. You don't hear.
Maybe they just don't want to talk about it, for fuck's. Maybe the guy with the spool. Oh, men don't talk about their feelings. They do. Nobody cares. No one cares.
The guy whose wife's his best friend.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Like, what is it? Like, why can't men be more vulnerable? They can. Nobody cares. Why can't men be more like women and emote better and be more emotionally? They need to improve their emotional intelligence. They are. Nobody cares. No one cares. Why can't men express themselves emotionally? They do with high-powered weapons, and nobody cares. There is a male loneliness epidemic, so I'm told. Not only are men don't get laid, they also have no friends. What is this manufactured outrage? I think that you have to remember when we're talking about loneliness for guys, you got to remember, like, everybody. What guy doesn't get lonely occasionally, right? What guy doesn't? I mean, I could tell you guys who are in like long-lasting marriages right now who will say that they're lonely. Hell, even Robin Williams, before he went kicked off. I mean, he has a very notable quote that said something to the effect of like, the worst thing in the world is like to be lonely, but you're surrounded by all these people. You're surrounded by people who tell you they love you, but you're still alone because like that guy with the wire, man. That guy's alone. His wife doesn't understand a guy. I'm worried why you have that Jets hat on. The fuck? I'm trying to tell you my life is this wire and it's uncoiling and I haven't done shit with my life and I'm uncoiling this wire. I've had this for 40, he probably is about 40 years old. I've had it for 40 years and look at this. Like he's having a fucking moment.
I'm worried about your Jets hat. What's wrong with you, Rollo?
I'm trying to explain this really deep concept to you in form of an allegory and metaphor. So I fucked up to begin with, but my life is like this wire right here.
Why do you have the Jets hat on? We need to go to Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah. Yep. Do we want to talk about that? No. Oh, I got Alex from Days like men in the bottom 20% of desirability cope with women with quote unquote women only want the top 20% of men. You, my friend, are lost in order to group themselves with the remaining 60% of average men. This way they can blame women as unreasonable instead of acknowledging that it's reasonable to reject the bottom 20%. I think you got your numbers fucked up there. I love this shit. It's like when we're talking about like assortative mating and hypergamy and stuff like that, I keep saying it's the 80-20, 4.5% rule. 100% of women want to get with the top 4.5% of guys. 80% of guys are invisible to women. They are the 80%ers, right? They're the unattractive ones. 80% of men are unattractive to women. 20% of men might be able to get past the gates if they have value added. Again, this is not just a red pill manosphere thing. This is what women themselves relate to us, period. That's really all you need to know, Al. None of this 20% cope this and 60% that. They can say that they are oppressed and everything. It's like, dude, what the fuck is it with you? Like everything is like Alex is the biggest fucking pussy online, man. Like there's never any room for debate. It's like, oh, here's our research, our Twitter poll research. Like I'm at the point right now where it's like, all I want to do is go right. My wife's like, why do you spend so much time in the studio? Because I'm finishing this fucking book, man. I don't think enough people realize like I'm actually an author. That's what I'm known for is my books, and it's time to get back to that. So that's what I'm going to focus on primarily. I watched the interview of Rob Henderson and Will Costello talking about the Adolescence thing. And I would like to know what the fuck is an incel? Like, to me, an incel is just it's just an invective right now. It's just an insult. I sincerely doubt there are that many. Like, if you look at the the population in general, if you look at like the guys who would be, you want a 1971 book, I'll give it to you. If you're looking at population in general, the population wise, there are more trans people than there are incels. And like the trans population right now is like so small, it could be a rounding error. It's like, so the fact that we're like basing like policy, like political policy on this shit is just, it just boggles the mind. And I want to also point out, because I talked to Mike about this and I agreed with him at the time, but I might be changing my position a little bit. But nobody cares. You know, by next month, nobody's going to care about the Adolescence movie. And I think not. I think they're already trying to legislate new laws, and they're trying to mandate people to watch this shit. In fact, I was looking at the stats for Adolescence on Netflix. It is, at least last I looked, was 66.7 million people watched it. That's a lot of fucking people. That's like it does kind of like nobody cares. No, some people care. 66.7 million cared enough to watch. I watched the whole thing too. And by the way, if you're going to talk about Adolescence, Andrew Wilson, if you're going to talk about Adolescence, watch the whole fucking thing before you talk about Adolescence. I remember when people made me aware of it, and I was like, okay, I better watch this thing. And it finally came up, and I watched it with my wife, and my wife was like, this is bullshit. I was like, yeah. And it's not even, I think they hyped up the trailer to make it sound like it was more about red pill manosphere stuff as opposed to like what it was really about. It was supposed to be about knife violence or whatever. Even that's kind of bullshit. But yeah. Do we think that Matt Walsh will leave Daily Wire? Should we take a Deadpool bet? Deadpool bet. How long will it take for Matt to leave the Daily Wire? Okay. $10 says he leaves the Daily Wire by tax day, by April 15th. Yeah, April 15th in 2 weeks. He'll leave in 2 weeks. They're already filing for bankruptcy protection. Like the ship is sinking, Matt. It's time to leave. It's funny because the only show they're going to have is Ben Shapiro. Like, who else? The Ben Shapiro show, the Ben Shapiro channel. Like, who else is? Oh, Andrew Klavan. I guess Andrew Klavan, but Andrew will do whatever. Yeah. Wow. And I know Jeremy Boring is supposed to be like in an advisory role, but when you start filing for bankruptcy protection, I think we know why he left. He's abandoned the sinking ship too. So did Brett Cooper. And I think she left because her contract came up and she's like, no, I'm not going to renew. Same thing with Candace Owens. I even predicted Candace Owens would leave. When they did that one show where they were all sitting around smoking cigars that were not lit, and sipping on bourbon that was, it was still full at the end of the show. God, what a waste of good bourbon. But Candace was a part of that. The only reason I even knew about that show is because they started talking shit about the red pill and Manosphere. Oh, and Pearl, who was making ridiculous statements at the time. That Candace, I think Candace left because her contract came up and she's like, fuck it, I'm out. Same thing with Brett Cooper, fuck it, I'm out. Or else, like people say she got outed or she got pushed out. The interview I saw, she made the decision to leave on her own. So it makes me wonder why she's pissed off at her friend for taking her spot. But boy, that was great, man. It's like Mean Girls.
Cat fights.
Yep. All right. So that's it for today. Let's see. I think we'll save the 16 Commandments of Poon for another one. I love that. I think we should probably just do the whole show about the 16 Commandments of Poon and just talk out each one of those. Let's see. Seems like Rollo is having a good time today. I'm loving it. Well, thank you there, Bennett. Bennett. Is that a name? I guess. So, final announcements. I will be, let's see, tomorrow, Ned gets x-rays. We have to x-ray his legs to see if his legs are fully healed. I haven't seen an x-ray of his in quite some time. What do you got? It started with Crowder, which was why the Daily Wire. Well, Crowder seems like he knew what was coming, right? like they wanted to offer him $50 million. Now he wasn't getting $50 million. His crew he had to basically float his show on the $50 million, which still is pretty fucking good. That's why I was like, when I was a little incredulous when I was listening to Brett Cooper talking about like how I really had to do some soul searching and pray about, you know, whether or not I wanted to leave and where I wanted to stay if I was going to be successful, and whether we were going to have to move it back in, me, her, and her husband. We're going to have to move back into my mom's place for a while or some shit like that. Oh, get the fuck out of here. You're making $500,000 a month. You know, who are we bullshitting, Brett? I mean, if Crowder's turning down $50 million contracts, they're paying you something, Brett. But yeah, he seems like Nostradamus now. I mean, he seems like the prophet of disaster, knowing what was going on. And now he's on Rumble exclusively. Yeah, maybe that's what I ought to do, is just go over to Rumble. Yeah, I wonder if that would work. Get out of the YouTube. See, the problem is like if I go over to Rumble exclusively, then they win. But if I go over to Rumble exclusively, then I'm rebuilding. And then if it doesn't work out on Rumble, I got to go back to YouTube and then rebuild the damage that I did by not doing it. So we are on Rumble right now. I simulcast on Rumble. So maybe I'll just like start promoting the Rumble channel a little bit more. So if you want to give me super chats on Rumble, I also have that up in a different window. So if you guys want to throw something at me, I'm always good with that. Yeah, dual stream. I stream. So I stream on Twitter. Which was great, by the way. Yeah. Twitter, Twitch. Hey, shout out to the 2 people watching me on Twitch right now. Thank you. I get the stats after every show. Yeah. It says two people watch you. I'm like, fuck yeah. And then Rumble, thank you guys for watching me on Rumble. And then YouTube, even in spite of YouTube, thank you for watching me on YouTube. I love you guys very, very much. Yeah. So by the way, the reason why I love Twitter so much is I was doing. So this Tuesday, as a matter of fact, we'll do it again. Every Tuesday, I live stream my band's rehearsals and I've been doing it on Instagram. Instagram sucks for live streams, man. Nobody cares about live unless you're like unless you're like the baby. You're not gonna, or whoever. You're never gonna have any kind of like eyes on the screen. So I was doing it on Instagram just because like Instagram was sort of like, that's the vanity channel. And we were playing to maybe 14 people would watch. Thank you for watching 14. But I've decided I am no longer going to do live streams on Instagram. I'm going to do them on Twitter, because the last time I'm like, I think we'll experiment with Twitter and see how that works. We had 1,200 people watching us. I was like, fuck yeah. So we had 1,200 people watching the rehearsal, and people were asking questions. I try to, after every song, I kind of come around and like look at the live stream, see if people have questions. I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all answer it. Because people still want to talk to you, they want to interact with you. But I usually live stream our rehearsals. They are, by the way, if you want to know when they're going to be, they are from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. So what would that be? That would be 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then they'll be on my Twitter stream. So if you want to watch Jinx play, and by the way, it's rough and uncut. So sometimes we'll run through the set, right? And you can hear the lead-in music that as a part of my podcast, because that's a song we do. But then we start writing, and you can sort of see how the sausage is made. So, so I'm not apologizing for anything, but Twitter is going to be where we're going to do it. So that's on Tuesday. That is April 1st, April Fool's Day. But my mom held out for one more day. And my birthday is on April 2nd, which is going to be Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be Access Vegas. And I would like to say that they're doing this for me on my birthday. It's going to be my birthday show. I have been told that there might be a theme to it, and the girls might be dressed up as something. I don't know that for a fact, but we'll see. But that's going to be my birthday show, Access Vegas, on Wednesday. And it's not because it's my birthday. It's because Thursday we're going to be at Babes in Toyland, and we wouldn't be able to do the show. So Thursday we'll be at Jason Aldean's Kitchen and Grill here in Las Vegas. So if you want to come out, it's for animal rescue. If you want to come out, make a donation, you can get in. You can come hang out with me and Mike and all. We have man, Vegas is always a better, bigger show or bigger babes than anywhere else. So we got that coming up on Thursday. And then on Friday, by the way, you're invited. I'm going to go to Lynetta for my birthday dinner because I won't be able to on the 2nd because I'll be doing show prep on my birthday. But so we're going to go to Lynetta in Summerlin, and you and Miguel and all of my good close personal friends are invited, including you if you'd like to go to Lynetta in Summerlin in Las Vegas. So we'll be doing that on Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So that's what we'll be doing. And then, of course, this show will be up and on Sunday. Again, we'll be back up. And then May 17th is Babes in Toyland in Miami. It's the white party. It's probably I'm just going to go and say it's the biggest Babes in Toyland event that Steve Fowler puts on. And I will be there I will be in Miami from the 13th to the 19th. I expect I will probably be on Fresh and Fit at least once, maybe twice. If I can get on the Danza Project while I'm out there, I think me and Mike will go do the Danza Project. I am going to be doing a Reignite event with my guys from Reignite. You do not have to be part of Reignite to come and enjoy this. However, you will have to pay the admission fee to be on it. Just simply because, and again, we're doing this to sort of do an outreach and to get memberships going. So, I have 3 slots left on my deep sea fishing trip. Right now it's myself, Jim Kilgore, and I got this guy Harold on the ship. We've got 3 slots left because you can only put 6 guys on there. If you want to be on that fishing trip, hit me up. You can get me in my DMs on Instagram, or hit me up on Twitter, or email me. And then I'll give you all the details, how much it's going to cost to go. It's actually not too bad. And that will be on the 15th of May, which is a Thursday. So the 15th of May, Thursday, will be an all-day fishing trip out in Miami and Biscayne Bay and further out, I guess. It's good fucking fishing this time of year, too, because it's like spring fishing. So we'll probably get out into some king mackerel. We'll probably get into, if we get into a billfish, that'd be great. Maybe even some dolphin. So, and I don't mean flipper. I mean like mahi. Dolphin, they're gonna kill flipper. No, it's the gold green one that's good eating, otherwise known as fish tacos and good sushi. So anyways, we'll be doing that on the 15th. And then, we added something else to it. On Friday, the 16th, we'll be going to Jackson Maximus in Miami, and it'll be myself, Jim Kilgore, Joe Marin, and anybody else who wants to participate. And we're going to be doing like style counseling for like older guys. That's going to be at Jackson Maximus in Brickell in Miami. And there'll be a cost associated with that as well. But it's just sort of a get together. It's be much cheaper than a fishing trip. But it's a get together, sort of a style consultation courtesy of Jim Kilgore and my good friend Christian, who owns Jackson Maximus. So we'll be there. You can play pool there. There's a bar there. You can get your hair done, you get your style. They have an on-premise tailor to tailor your suits for you. If you've ever seen my Lucifer Morningstar suit that I wore on Dr. Phil, that was Christian's work. So that's a one-of-a-kind suit. Nobody else has that but me. So that's it. And I guess I will hope you guys got something out of this. And I guess I will see you guys next week. So until then, bye con Dios. Peace be with you, my brother, and salah. Bye-bye.
Bye, Felicia.
It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools.
All right.
Over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stepping with her head like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting nasty, working up and down on your body. Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
You lose. Good day, sir.
This same podcast has been a production of the Irrational Males. All rights reserved. Registered trademark 2025. And don't steal Ned's stuff.
Saga.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Tell that bitch to be cool. Say bitch, be cool. Be cool, honey. Say bitch, be cool.